Now we wait. I'm going to eat this candy.
Someone had to.
Welcome to the YouTube preamble. Hopefully the show has started.
You know,
Guys,
the
gotta
part,
check that sound.
the part where everything goes wrong.
Well, it's where everything starts to go wrong.
Yeah, it's still just saying upcoming.
Give it a moment. Give it a moment. Let them cook.
I'll give it several.
Let it cook.
I hear you. And I hear me. We are golden. We got the golden goose, baby.
We got the golden goose. The golden goose is. All right, it's time to start the show.
Goose-eye?
Goose-eye.
Geese?
Geese-ay. I don't think those were words.
Geese?
Geese.
Golden geese?
Geeses? Gooses.
Geese?
Need to turn on my light.
Well.
Welcome back again to this nipper. It's time to start the show in 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Should we work on that this week? We probably should. 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte. No, let's do that again. Arte Media Pantheon. Why is that hard to say this week? Okay, we're gonna start the show in 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to check out plenty of podcasts from our great friends, as well as if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to artemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
Flawless.
And for all the people on Spotify, that was a flawless introduction. And now I can count myself as one of my own, because I narcissistically have started listening to my own show. I don't know why, but it's really kind of interesting. It allows you to hear what you're doing wrong and work on jokes that and as long as I'm not looking at my stupid face, it's worth. So hi, future Justin.
No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't listen to my own podcast. I'm not that narcissistic.
We do a pretty good show. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. Or as it's been rebranded for this month, the Spook parentheses moment of the podcast. Moment of the moment podcast. There we go. We got it. As always, I'm joined by my spooky co-host. It's the spooky version of the incomparable Jordan, which is just the normal version, but slightly spookier. He now every few moments will go ooh. That's how he's different. On today's show, we start as always with the news, including we've seen Nicolas Cage on set for Spider-Man Noir. We were gonna find out what he looks like. There's a new Rugrats movie apparently. When is Dragon Ball Daima coming out? And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised by where it's coming. Well, at least in the States, I don't know if it's coming here, but you'll be surprised where it's coming first. Even before Japan. A new Avatar video game apparently, and as always, we ask the question: what's going on with Velma?
Boo!
Boo! You can stop. You can stop now.
No.
So, yes,
I will never stop the bit
until the end of October.
Until the end of October. At the end of October, it stops. Okay, that's fair enough. But the thing is, you can't do it all the time, George. You have to space it out, and it has to be in moments when we're not expecting it. If you do it all the time, it loses its meaning. I'll do it as I please. You'll see.
All right, I respect your convictions. I respect them. So, Jordan, apparently, the Super Mario Brothers movie 2 will have, quote, deep cut characters, says Keegan-Michael Key. So my question, Jordan, is Wart is going to be the bad guy in the next one, right? It's obviously going to be
the construction dude.
No, Wart is the bad guy of Super Mario Brothers 2.
Oh,
See, that's how
I
deep
mean,
cut it
maybe.
was. That's how deep cut that was, Jordan.
Wow, that's
See,
pretty deep.
it was so deep cut that even you didn't get the reference. That's how deep cut it was.
Hashtag deep.
Hashtag it. No, but honestly, which deep cut characters? I mean, we both know where we stand as far as characters they
I
should
mean,
introduce in the next
it's
one.
it's definitely going to bring in Wario.
It's
That's for sure.
gotta do Wario.
And
Gotta do Wario.
we know that they have already set up for Yoshi, so Yoshi was going to be there for sure.
For sure. I mean, Koopa Kids. I'm always
You'll
down for Koopa
probably get
Kids.
you'll probably get the Koopa Kids, but
Or
I don't
Bowser
think you'll
Jr.
get. I no, see that's the thing. I think you'll get the Koopa Kids, but you won't get Bowser Jr. until like the end. He'll be in the stinger.
Ooh, maybe. I think it'd be kind of funny if it if he shows up at the end of the second one and he just gets dropped off. Like Bowser's like a divorced dad, because that would totally work for this bit they're doing where he's in the Peach, where he has an ex-wife. Like he has just a bitter, angry ex-wife, and I think it'd be even funnier if you like never see her. Like you just only ever hear her voice, and it's just Jack Black doing a girl voice.
See what
That
I
would be
think
funny
would
to
be
me.
what I would kind of I think would be funny. They would never do it because this game was not well received. But is at the end of the second one, Mario, Peach, and them are like, man, we need to go on vacation. And it ends with them like arriving at Delfino, and you see the Shadow Mario step out,
I mean, that
and
would be dope.
everyone who knows that's Kid Bowser,
That would be
or
fun.
Bowser Jr.
That game is pretty well, but I mean, I want a Luigi's Mansion movie.
Yeah, I want a Luigi's Mansion movie.
So Jordan, the Spider-Man Noir show has begun filming, and set photos of Nicolas Cage have emerged. Do you want to guess whether or not he's wearing the Spider-Man costume, Jordan?
I'm gonna guess he's not wearing.
He's absolutely not wearing the Spider-Man costume, Jordan. He's just kind of wearing a suit. He's just kind of wearing a suit.
I mean that you kind of called that.
I did I not? I mean, I've seen so many funny tweets and threads though, of people being like, "So are they going to CGI the costume over top of him?"
I don't imagine.
He's
other than
never wearing that costume. I guarantee you.
No, he's not. The most that I would say that they will do is like with the character is maybe you'll see some flashbacks to like his heyday when he was younger.
Yeah, a stunt guy is going to wear the costume. Guy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
A stunt guy will wear it, or he'll wear it for exactly one moment in the finale where he puts it on because he's excited. Because the whole bit with this is he's a retired hero who's coming out of retirement. It's just like everything I don't want out of a Spider-Man Noir show.
The only time the only two times we'll see the costume are in flashbacks when it's a stunt double wearing it, and maybe in the final episode
there's no way
he has to don the costume one last time to go to.
I just can't believe that this has gone to filming. Like I every step of the way I've expected this to get canceled, but there's a ton of apparently you won't know him by name. You only know him from Brendan Gleeson. He was Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter. He's apparently the bad guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be like he's Norman Osborn or what they're doing, but it's on Amazon Prime. We have Amazon Prime. I like Spider-Man.
I'll probably check it out.
I'll check it out just on sheer curiosity alone. So Jordan, they're apparently making a live action Rugrats movie.
Yeah, I heard about that. That upsets me.
But
the babies are apparently CGI.
The babies are apparently CGI. Yeah, Jordan.
No,
Jordan. Jordan, say utter your famous catchphrase.
Who was asking for this?
I mean, I thought your famous catchphrase was "why," but I mean that too. Yeah, who was? Well, I mean,
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. What? Okay, and then followed up with who was asking for this?
Well, they have brought they have they
have a terrible 3D show that they brought back, which looks awful.
Yeah, but kids like it. Apparently, it's a popular show. I think it's still on. Did it get canceled? I actually don't. I don't know. I think it's still on the air. I'm pretty sure it's still on the air. But the reason they want to do this is because they want to.
I guess I'm just at the point where Disney has kind of instilled this. Please stop touching my childhood toys that I love, and try to remake them for an audience which will never appreciate them in the same way that I do.
I don't believe in that gatekeeping bullshit. But my points really
Make new things.
my
Don't.
my question with this is, I mean, it is what it is. We have it. We might as well talk about it. What? Okay, number one, why the CGI live action hybrid?
Because how are you going to get babies, real life babies, to do the crazy things that the Rugrats did? It had to have CG babies.
My answer to that would be, well, one of two reasons. One is so that they can get the original voice cast back and just have them be the babies, or
that too.
Number two, they don't want a baby geniuses situation where you got the CGI mouths, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it looks weird if you have real life babies doing the things that they do.
It looks less weird though, in my opinion, than freaky CGI hybrid babies. At that point, just make it an animated movie.
I mean, yes, that would, yes. You want my opinion? That's what they should have done. But I mean,
why?
If we're talking a horrifying live action abomination, yeah, the simple two reasons are so they can get the original voice people back, and so they don't have a baby geniuses situation. That's the production Hollywood reason.
So I'm just okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who this is for. And for me, ultimately, it's all going to depend on. I become decidedly more interested when they are released theatrically, although streaming is different now. But like when they don't, like when I think of this, you know what it makes me think of? Honestly, just immediately.
Fairly Odd Parents.
Why did you know that I was going to say that? And the horrific friggin' Drake Bell movie. That's where obviously
movies. There's multiple.
Yeah, they made multiples, and I think the last one he has a kid. It ends with him having a kid. I think.
Yeah, I think he adopts a kid or something. I don't know.
I've seen clips of it. Yeah, he has a. I've seen clips of it where he has a kid with. I don't know if she gives birth to it, if they're adopted, but he ends up with Tootie, Vicky's sister, who turns out to be hot.
I vaguely remember that.
And before you're being lecherous, Justin, that's literally part of the plot of that movie, of the first one, which is the only one I've seen, because I won't lie, curious, and it was bad. And the CGI Fairly Odd Parents look bad, and it never looks good when you mix those animations, unless you're like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It never looks good. That's why you'll notice they don't talk about the other animation hybrid attempt at the Fairly Odd Parents they tried to do, because it was bad, because it's never good. The only one of those that has been successful is the new reboot, which is animated.
That's fair.
So
I don't disagree.
Right? Like I was initially dismissive of that Fairly Odd Parents reboot. I won't lie to you. Until it became evident that it wasn't a reboot, it was a sequel. And the minute it becomes a sequel, I become instantly more interested in it. I will always be more interested in a sequel than I will be in a reboot. Because
I mean, I've seen some clips on TikTok, but I wouldn't say I'm interested in it.
I mean, not enough to maybe watch it, but enough to passively pay attention to it. Like stuff like the fact that Poof comes back and he's now an adult and he has his own, and he's now called Perry. There's a really quite funny joke with Auntie Poof where he's like, "I'm IREP now because your stupid son changed his name."
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not big on what they did with Poof.
I see. I like that he's sort of an amalgamation of the both of them. He's not quite. And yeah, I like the fact that the characters are get to be a bit deeper and more interesting. It's definitely there's more thought being put into it.
I would have liked if he had been more like Timmy, because it was Timmy's wish that brought him into existence.
That would have also been interesting. That's my one thing is they haven't brought back Timmy yet, and they brought back a bunch of other characters, and we've seen
he reminds me. He's a little bit too much like what Cupid was in the original show.
I can see why you would say that. Yeah. I really enjoyed though how the main antagonist of that first season is the son of Doug Dimmadome, which is a really funny reference.
That's a funny callback.
Yeah, but no, he's the grandson of Doug Dimmadome, and his dad is the guy.
Yeah, he's the son of the kid that Timmy rescued from Vicky.
Yeah, which is it's a really funny reference. I'm like, that's funny, and I don't totally hate the animation when I watch more of it in movement.
No. I mean, the animation isn't the thing that I don't like about that. I understand why one would like all the references to the original Fairly Odd Parents,
to me at times, the stuff that I've seen anyway, comes across a little heavy-handed.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, moving on. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to turn the fan on. Ooh, because I'm kind of warm. I'm looking at the fan. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back. Jordan, vamp.
So Halloween's a thing. So we're doing, a spooky themed month. That's a thing that we're doing, and I'm really hoping that he won't take too long to turn the fan on because I don't really know what to talk about. So I guess maybe we should discuss how one day I will overthrow him and rule this show with an iron fist. This show and the apartment. But he'll never see it coming is kind of the point. And man, he's taking a long time to turn that fan on. Okay, he must have turned it on. I heard him say, "Here we go," and he's coming back any moment. So keep that plan secret. It'll be a fun little thing for him to hear about.
There we go.
Because he says he listens. Oh, he's back. He's back. Oh, okay. Hi. Welcome back.
What were you saying?
Nothing.
All right.
I guess you'll find you say you narcissistically listen to this show. I guess you'll find out what I was rambling about when you get to it.
I just might. You don't know. Especially because it's so early into the show. Yeah, when I was setting up, I was like, should I put the fan on? I'm like, nah, I'm not that cold, and I'm starting to get warm, and I'm like, I just need like a little bit of air. I feel better now.
Turn it on its lowest setting.
It is on its lowest setting. Yeah, I had to put my fan on last night. I was like, oh, it's starting to get a little warm. Anyway,
no, we've hit the point where I can have it off now because it's not that hot.
It depends on the night. But anyway. So Dragon Ball Daima, Jordan, is apparently will premiere a week ahead of its Japanese debut. So it's going to apparently premiere on Netflix on October 11th.
I was gonna say I heard it was going to be on Netflix, and I was like, ooh.
But I don't know if that's like internationally or just in the States. So that would be convenient. Means I wouldn't have to get Crunchyroll like an animal.
Yeah,
I hate Crunchyroll. Is that going to be one of our classic hot takes? I hope not, because Crunchyroll sucks.
I mean, it's kind of the only option.
Funimation. They should have, they should have put everything onto Funimation, not the other way around. Because of Funimation, it's not the content. It's the actual streaming.
It's the functionality of the website.
Of the actual website itself sucks. It's like the worst streaming.
And the streaming app. It sucks. It's not. Functionality. When I say I hate Crunchyroll, I don't mean their content. I love the anime on there. Yeah. I mean the functionality of what they offer.
It sucks. So
just to clarify that for any haters.
So maybe if that does come here, we'll do a quick what we thought of the first episode when it comes out. If it comes out here, that'd be kind of fun.
I mean, we'll probably do that when we eventually watch it either way.
True. So Josh Hutcherson has given an update on the second Five Nights at Freddy's movie, where he pledged that he promises that this one will be scary this time.
Okay. I mean, I like the first one.
He says he promises.
Wasn't necessarily scary, but I mean,
he promises that his horror franchise will be scary this time.
Here's my response to that. None of the Five Nights at Freddy. I don't think any of the Five Nights at Freddy stuff is scary. It's not really meant to be.
I mean, it's
scary.
Is it not a horror franchise? Should it not be scary?
Yeah, but
at least a little scary.
It's like baby's first horror. Like it's not. It's ridiculous. It's over the top.
Well, he has promised.
There's a point in one of the books where there's Fazgoo.
And
Fazgoo, Justin.
He's promised. So no. He's promised that it's bigger, the stakes are higher, and this one will be scarier.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Promises. Josh Hutcherson.
Gorier. You could make it gorier, sure, but I mean, scarier. Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't instill fear. Jump scares, maybe.
I mean, to a 10-year-old, it might.
Sure, but that's where I say it's baby's first horror series.
But also,
it's
like the more
it's whatever a kid, a family friendly horror movie is.
I mean, I would say this probably there's going to be a segment of Five Nights at Freddy's fans who would say to that Five Nights at Freddy's is scary and shut up.
I just don't know how you could I don't know how to articulate my words here.
I know what you mean.
Like,
I've seen that movie. I've seen the movie. That movie's silly. It's ridiculous.
I'm not even just talking the movie. I'm talking
yes,
the games.
The franchise is also very silly.
The franchise, like it's just
the fact that it is the worst game on the planet and it has the most absurdly like no, don't even fucking at me. The Five Nights at Freddy's games are not good. The only one that looks passably fun is Security Breach, and that's because it's actually a fucking game. But otherwise, the rest of the games, they suck, and they're not good games, but they have the most ridiculously convoluted like lore and backstory in the existence of storytelling, and that is the funniest thing on the planet.
I'm gonna dive a little deeper into that later in the show with one of my picks.
Don't get it twisted. The Five Nights at Freddy's games, the first like 4, are not good games. Like the first one's not a good game.
They're basic games. Well, again, we'll touch on that later. But
so apparently,
I want to save all that because that's going to be part of my movie analysis.
All right.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. No, I've apparently.
I wasn't sure if you cut out there.
No. This article is just confused. Oh, I see. So, okay. They're making a animated movie about. Oh, okay. So it's for one of those animated ones. Okay, they're making an animated movie about Robin and Red Hood, and it's going to use a blend of CGI animation, stop motion, and live action, known as Momo animation.
I have never heard of that.
Neither have I. I don't know.
Okay, so what means. Is that like a coming to theater one, or is that a streaming one? Or is it a show? Is it a movie?
Well, the thing, according to James Gunn, it's a movie. But according to James Gunn, it's all connected. So, like, I guess whoever plays Robin and Red Hood in that movie. Because the Batman movie that's coming is going to be a Batman Damian Wayne movie, which sort of inherently implies the existence of all the other Bat family. And apparently the Bat family are going to be in it. So I guess that's where they're going to debut then, and then they'll show up in that Batman movie.
Okay.
All
right, cool.
Cool. I'm done with that. I like those characters, so I'm okay with that.
This is a going to theater one, or this is a streaming one?
The article does not say, so I don't know. Yeah, no, the article does not say.
I see how it is. You don't want to tell me. You want to keep it a secret. Keep that information to yourself.
I legitimately don't know. Huh.
Right. Wink.
Interesting. So apparently, Paramount Game Studios and Saber Interactive have announced that they are developing a brand new Avatar: The Last Airbender RPG, which will develop an all-new story developed closely with Avatar Studios. It is described as
the potential to be cool.
Yep, it has a new triple, and it will allow players to take on the role of all-new, never-before-seen Avatar. It's set thousands of years in the past, and it's unclear whether or not it will have any connection to the characters from the original series.
We will watch this one with great interest.
The title
is coming. It's coming to all major consoles.
I presume so. It says you will have to learn, master all 4 elements alongside companions, and no release info. So yeah, okay. So, which element does he start with? Or she, I guess. It's probably going to be a woman. It's 2026, 2025 by the time it comes out.
Sorry. What is it? What does it say about the story? What's the
just that it's an avatar that we've never seen before, and it's before the show, thousands of years before the show.
Okay, well, if it's thousands of years before the show, then that means that it could be fire, but I'm guessing they're gonna try and go for one that hasn't really been done before. So my guess is going to be Earth.
Oh yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, because we haven't really other than obviously Kyoshi.
you've had Aang as heir.
Yeah.
No, but I mean like in terms of like major ones for the show.
Oh.
Yeah, you could maybe argue Kyoshi, but I don't. Yeah, maybe you could argue her, but they've definitely had like shown us quite a bit of air with Aang, water with why do I want to call her Katara? The one that's
Korra.
from the other show. Korra, thank you. And you've had Roku as fire. Like that, he takes up a large amount of the show, which is why I count him in that.
Yeah.
And why I don't really count Kyoshi because you only get like one episode with her.
True.
No,
it's not even a I do get what you mean. Yeah, she's not really a major character as much as Roku is.
Yeah, Roku is like his main advisor.
Yeah.
And so he kind of you get a lot with him. So I would think plus in terms of size of kingdoms, Earth was probably biggest.
Yeah, true. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see, but the problem is like where I'd want to see an avatar be interjected in terms of story, you can't. Like I think it would be kind of interesting to see a fire avatar during the height of the Fire Empire's power, but obviously you can't do that because the avatar doesn't.
Fire Nation.
Yeah. Like you have to be undercover, be discreet. I think that'd be kind of fun, but you can't do that. Yeah.
Can't do that because Aang was very much, asleep.
Do we know who? I guess we don't. How many avatars were there? Because I know obviously Juan is the first one. How many avatars were there after and between him and Aang?
They haven't like obviously said all. That's one of the great things about Avatar, which is why they can do this game. Is there's only a certain amount that they have said. The ones that I know are Juan. There's a fire one that was in one of the comics. Kyoshi, Roku, and Korra. Those are the ones that I know of.
And you don't know how many there. Like how long has the avatar?
I know a lot.
I've never seen Korra, so I don't know this information.
I know. In the original show, there's the point where where Aang is talking to the different avatars, and I know there's a water one. I know there's an air one that he talks to.
I do know that people don't love how Korra fucked with the lore.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen all of Korra.
I haven't. I think I've seen like the first few episodes and that's it.
I've seen what was on Netflix, and then I never saw the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I tried to watch it immediately after Avatar, and it just wasn't doing it. I'm like, I'm just not enjoying this.
It's definitely a different show. Sorry. So to answer your question, I think it would be Earth.
Earth would be interesting.
Because I feel like they wanna distance themselves from the other characters, and maybe I could see Air, and trying to bring it back and make it feel like you're Aang.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or Water and trying to make it like a comparison to Korra and how different they are.
I guess it's gonna depend on like what's the easiest to let program in terms of like a base ability. That's gonna be your default ability, right?
It's also just story-wise gonna depend on like what's the story. Is it like an Earth nomad or an air nomad who has to go on journey from place to place? Like, is there a war going on? Is there?
And when they say RPG, is it like does that like mean action RPG? Is it gonna be like a free roam? Like I get to like is that gonna be traversal? Because that'd be kind of fun. And at that point, yeah, I kind of want to start off as an airbender. That'd be
or
fun.
Is it like your classic or your classic? Because no, if it's a one where you have to traverse, at that point I solidly would say Earth, because in terms of like a traversal around, Earth is going to make the most sense, and then Air is going to be the last one that you get because that gives you fly.
I just want to be able to bloodbend just once, and then have my character be like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that again," and then have a moral thing about it. I think that'd be kind of fun.
But yeah,
that would be it'd be fun to metal bend.
No, you won't get metal bending. Toph creates that.
God darn it! Fine, be like they forgot it. I don't know.
Toph is the first one that created metal bending. So unless it takes place after, then you don't get metal bending. But it does give them free way to introduce other types of bending that aren't seen in the show, like insert one that hasn't been used in the show.
So finally, Jordan, to round out our news this week. I think this week we had less news.
I'm kind of excited for that. Actually,
I'm actually pretty excited. That sounds fun. It sounds fun in concept. We'll see how it plays out. These things always sound fun in concept.
I'd like to see a trailer because I've never seen a good Avatar game.
Right. I mean, I'd like a 3D action game with like with a skill tree. Kind of like Spider-Man. Yeah. Like when you say RPG, that's kind of what I want. Kind of like a Spider-Man with like a skill tree, like one of those.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want like a classic RPG, like a turn-based.
I don't need a turn-based thing. I'm no interest in that. Or it'd be kind of funny if they really delved into the story mode and then it became like a Baldur's Gate but with Avatar. That'd also be kind of fun.
That'd be interesting.
More games need to be like Baldur's. Why can't you be like your brother, Baldur's Gate? He's better than you in every conceivable way.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Sorry, Baldur's Gate 3. So finally, Jordan, we gotta end the news with our segment. What's going on with Velma? What's going on with Velma?
So what's going on with Velma?
Well, so after the show after last week, where we asked all the questions about what this Halloween special is going to be, the trailer came out. So I figure I'd tell you what the trailer is. So it turns out that yes, she is in fact.
Does it answer the question of what's going on with Velma?
No, we will never understand what's going on with Velma in that regard. But turns out that she is dead still, and that this special is about trying to bring her back to life. And they have to bring her back to life before a certain time or she'll be permadead. And then an evil spirit or whatever takes over her body. And that was kind of it. That's kind of all I watched. It's really bloody looking. Bad. It looks bad.
Make it stop.
That's it.
Make it stop.
That's it. That's the news. That's the news.
So really, the special is about the hero trying to stop Velma from coming back to life, and the villain Velma, trying to revive herself.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Yeah, that sums it up about right. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that was the news. George, we did the news. So today's episode of the Spook (E of the Moment) podcast, everybody, is TrophySmack.com, because since it's that time of year where we have contests or we have costume contests where you dress up and you want to say I have the best costume. Jordan, the best place to get a trophy to be like this person has the best costume is obviously
TrophySmack.com, using our link in the description below.
And you can get trophies like this one that look like this. Look at the quality of that. Look at the sheen. Look how nice it is.
You could have one which has like a ghost on the front and which says Spooky-tacular winner.
Exactly. And they have belts, they have rings. They got a big old losers section, so you can check them out using our link in the description below.
Yeah. Which, if you get a loser-based one, it could say, "Boo on you."
Exactly. That's, again, TrophySmack.com. Use our link in the description below. Thank you guys, as always, for every time you sponsor this podcast. We always appreciate that. Let's move on to the second half, Jordan. So welcome, folks, to our mini series of episodes that we're doing this month, that we initially called Spook of the Moment, and then I had the epiphany that might be slightly racist. So we changed the name, we rebranded it to Spook (E) of the Moment podcast. And each week in October, we're going to be talking about a different spooky Halloween-related horror adjacent thing. But this week we're going to
move forward. Pivot, and move forward.
I don't.
Pivot.
I don't understand what you're doing.
Pivot.
This week it's ghosts, everybody. We're talking about ghost stuff. It's not all scary. Some of it's scary.
Yeah.
Not all of it's
but
scary.
some of it's not.
Some of it's not.
Some of it is only tangentially related to being ghosts, demons, angels, spirits.
Exactly. Exactly. So, Jordan, let us begin as we always do with the rapid fire. Rapid fire, your first rapid fire.
Well, okay, I will, but this is important to say. It has Ghost in the name, so I'm off the hook.
Dude,
I did Ghost Rider.
see, but Ghost Rider is technically a spirit. He's the spirit
It's
of
the
vengeance.
spirit of vengeance.
He's a spirit ghost. It counts.
It technically works.
Also, technically speaking, Sam Elliott is a ghost in that movie. It has a ghost in it. Technically a ghost. He's dead.
Sam Elliott.
Guy with the mustache.
Oh. Okay. Anyways, it's funny that you talked about Nicolas Cage because he's also in this one.
And he's awesome.
So he was a different superhero at one point, and it was awesome.
This is pre MCU, so we're way more forgiving of its transgressions. And I like this movie. I love it when he freaks out the first time he turns into the Ghost Rider. My favorite is where the guys in like minimum security lockup who are pretending they're tough, and then he beats them up. Those are funny.
Innocent.
Oh, it's good.
I love so much about this movie. It's fun.
This is though one of those times where I'm familiar with what Blackheart looks like, and so I just kept waiting for him to turn into Blackheart, and then he just didn't.
Yeah, or Blackheart and Mephisto.
Yeah, and Mephisto.
Neither of them looks like what they should, but that's okay.
Blackheart, I remember from Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah.
I was so I just kept, when his face turned all like weird and monstrous, I kept expecting him to.
No, Justin, that wasn't in the budget. All of the budget went to Ghost Rider.
It's true. Which, hey, he looks great. I like this
one. He looks good.
It's not to say I don't like the second one, but I like this one way more. It's because it's like, yeah, should it be more? Probably, but I still enjoy it. He was supposed to be a Deadpool Wolverine, and he didn't wind up, and it was disappointing.
I like this one. I do like the second one, but I also I like them both for different reasons. And this one's a little more basic, and I like his girl. I like Nicolas Cage's girlfriend more in this one. She's hot.
Do they attempt to CGI de-age him in the beginning, or no? I think they have.
I believe it's just a different actor.
I think it's a different actor, but I think he does the dub, or I might be thinking of a different movie. Maybe I'm not thinking of it. Anyway, yeah, this one's fun. Do you have any other thoughts about the Ghost Rider?
Only that I thought I was going to get more pushback on this one.
No, it counts. I think it counts. Maybe someone in the comments will push back. Who's to say? I'm not pushing back.
But no, yeah, I like this one. It checks all the boxes for me, and it's dumb and it's fun.
So my first two, my first two you also watched. So we're just gonna do them together, I think.
Sure.
Because my first one is Haunted Mansion.
Okay, you're gonna do that one first. Okay. Cool.
The Eddie Murphy one, and I did sort of. It's in that genre of like Disney's trying to make Pirates of the Caribbean happen again.
It really was. I thought Eddie Murphy is not acting in this one. He's just Eddie Murphy. He's just Eddie Murphy I
fully believe he talks to his kids like that. Yeah. My thing was just like
you gotta man up. You gotta man up and be a man. You're 10 now.
Stop being
man. He's still a child.
Stop being a wuss about the spiders, man. I mean, no way. I'm on his side. That's a lot of spiders.
Fuck that. I hate spiders. Spiders are gross.
Now I'm on the kid's side on this one.
They give me the heebie-jeebies, man.
My thing is like
also just generally, this came from a time period where that toxic masculinity of you got to man up, and be a man. It was just such a thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm Eddie Murphy. It's like every one of Eddie Murphy's characters is like that. Where like, I'm the man, and you have to listen to the man, and it's the man. Yeah, it's one of those kinds of movies.
And it's just it gets a little bit old. I'm not gonna lie.
I won't lie. There are parts of this movie where I stopped paying attention, because it failed the phone test.
Yeah.
So like. I kind of missed the fact that him and his wife they own the real estate business together, but he's being a prick about it for some reason. And it's just
Yeah.
it makes the movie confusing where it's like, wait, so why is she mad at him? She's doing her job for him. Or he's doing her job for her.
That's why the ghost guy only wanted her, was because then, he could
Yeah, because I'm
marry.
like, why did he want just to, because they own the bit, right. Oh, they own the real estate business together.
She's mad at her husband because her husband is basically acting like it's his business. And like she's like, dude, we can step back and like have a weekend off. It's gonna be fine. Like, no, I have to go and sell every house that I possibly can because I come from that time period. Because I come from that time period of movies where all the dads cared about were working and couldn't be fathers to their children.
Couldn't be bothered to father. And then I also missed when it was just like the kids and Eddie Murphy were just off having the adventure on their own. I'm like, there was a moment where I was like, wait, what happened to the wife? She just like disappeared. And then I went, wait, is she still with the guy? Like, has she been with the guy the whole time?
She's with the guy because the guy wants to marry her because he thinks that it's his love from ages past that was murdered by the butler because the butler did it. Also, as an aside, it was incredibly distracting to me the entire movie that the butler was just the self-help guru from Yes Man.
Is Terrence Stamp. He's also
so distracting.
He's Zod, and on Smallville he's Jor-El.
I mean, that's fair. That's not what I recognize him from, so it's not relevant to my story.
No, there are some details that I read about that were interesting. Like, apparently, the further away they get from the house, the more dead they become, which is why the people in the crypts are zombies. Yeah, right? I was like, yeah, that makes sense. This one that was interesting to me because it's like, yeah, it turns out, like, no, it's weird with these ones where the closer they are to the ride, the less popular they are. So, like, I would argue that the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, apart from sharing a title, has nothing to do with the ride. Like, it's about pirates in the Caribbean.
The only connection or reference, I guess I would say, to the ride in the movie, in the first one anyway, is when they're in the when Jack is in the jail and all the other guys are like whistling to the dog and they're come here.
Oh, yeah.
That's a direct reference to the ride because that's one of the scenes on the ride.
Right. And then beyond that, though, it has nothing to do with like the story of the ride. Like the closest thing is the skull being like dead men hell, but that's kind of it. Whereas this movie, it's very faithful to the ride. There's all sorts of references to the ride. The characters from the ride.
To be fair, with the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, there isn't really a story on that one.
Not really, no.
It's just kind of you're seeing pirates in the Caribbean.
So, like you get to the other one, which the other one of these, there's only really 3 of them, and there might be one more, but I'm pretty sure there's at least one more, which is the Country Bear Jamboree, which just straight up has characters beyond Country Bears.
There's another one. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was the Tower of Terror.
Right. To be fair, I think that ride is based off of that movie. I think. To be fair,
I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about the Tower of Terror. But yeah.
But that's one that used. I don't know if maybe it still exists in.
But that one's not trying to make
in Disney World. It might still be a thing.
But that one's not trying to be a Pirates of the Caribbean. That came out before Pirates of the Caribbean.
Fair.
But yeah, Country Bears, that has characters straight up from that show at Disney, and it wasn't as popular as Pirates was. And I'm wondering if it's that loose connection to its source material where it's like just kind of tangentially related that made Pirates, or if it really is the strength of that character. Because obviously that character is now on that ride.
See, it's
been retrofitted to be more like the movie, not the other way around.
Yeah, I think that's a tough question of why did Pirates of the Caribbean work? Ultimately
is it just Jack Sparrow?
And I don't think that it's just Jack Sparrow. I think it's just because it didn't have to be an exact replica of the ride story-wise. It allowed them to have more creative freedom.
But I would argue that the Haunted Mansion, and to be fair, I haven't seen the new one. I might watch that for family-friendly stuff.
I have, but it's been a while.
So, like, is that one a better movie because it's less? Because this one really does straight. I mean, it has the grinning ghost, the singing ghost. It obviously has, I forget the character's name, but the floating head and the
Leota,
Madame Leota. It has her, like, it has direct references to the Thing. Where I was like, oh hey, I get that reference.
I mean, that's where I say I would say that it really depends on what you're looking for out of the movie. I like this one because of the references. It makes it more fun for me. The one thing that I think that it's missing, which, or at least I think it's missing, maybe I've just missed it because it also didn't pass the phone test for me. But it would have been fun if there had been a reference in this movie to the stretching room.
Oh yeah. That would have been fun. Yeah.
Because that's kind of an integral part of the ride.
Yeah, but apparently the in the post credits, Madame Leota, I think it's the post credits, but at the end of the movie, Madame Leota literally says her dialogue from the ride about coming back.
I think I remember that scene.
But that's just,
like
that's all I got on Haunted Mansion.
I think
that's all I got on. Unless you got anything further on Haunted Mansion.
No, not really. We checked all the boxes.
You want to just do The Conjuring next? Get that out of the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We both watched The Conjuring. See, fun fact about me and Jordan is we share a brain. So we both just watched two of the same movies.
And we share a brain and one brain cell between us.
And I often have to go out of my way to think of stuff I know he won't think of. Don't go for the obvious shit. That's the rule of thumb when you're doing the show. Unless you're a guest, you can do the obvious shit then. But so we both watched.
I try to think of what I think will be different and unique, and then you think of the same goddamn thing.
It happens every single week. But we both watched The Conjuring, which I see. It's so funny about The Conjuring. I initially said, okay. To be fair. When you watch enough of these movies, you can pretty much time the thing that's going to happen. So, like, when there's a prolonged moment of silence, you know there's going to be crash, bang, jump scare. And you can time them by your watch at a point. When you watch,
this movie is pretty by the numbers.
When you watch enough of these movies, that kind of starts to happen. And it becomes like, what about this setup and this framework is interesting? So the most interesting part about this is it's, quote, big quotes, based on a true story. And Lorraine and, oh my god, I can't remember what is Patrick Wilson's character's name?
I don't know.
John something.
I have to be honest, I didn't find this movie particularly memorable.
The ghost hunter, the couple.
Yeah.
They're real people.
The dude who's Night Owl and Watchmen.
Yeah, they're real people. Well, were real people. They're dead now. But this is based on a real story that really happened. And the witch that they mentioned is like that's haunting them in the movie was a real person. And they're you know the movie The Amityville Horror?
I've heard the name, yes.
They are responsible for that. They investigated that. That's what they're famous for.
Interesting.
And they also did, the movie Annabelle?
Again, I've heard the name.
Yeah, I mean, it appears as a character and as a thing in this movie, but that's a real doll that's really, quote, air quotes, haunted. And the whole thing with...
Okay.
I said air quotes. Okay. You'll notice I said air quotes.
I know. I'm gonna be the cynic.
There's a butt coming. Here. There's a bit, but if you'll allow me, I'll get to the butt.
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
So, and the thing is, as much as I say real, Lorraine Warren, something in Lorraine Warren. Hold on, he's gonna help me if I know their actual name. Ed and Lorraine Warren. That's it. They are known con artists, and basically these people had some form of mental illness, and they showed up. In the case of this story, they showed up and heard the name. Oh, I can't remember what the name of the thing is. Baba Yaga, I think, or something like that. They heard that name and seized on it, and basically implanted the idea of this being a thing into these people's heads, and they were sick, they were tired, and the family, the only one of the family from the movie, I can't remember which one it was in real life, insists that it happened exactly the way as described, and like they were consultants on the movie. It's based on like her book. The rest of the family are like, no, there's perfectly rational, and it's fun. It's worth noting that they lived in that house for like, I think it's like 10 years or like quite a long time after what they claimed happened. They just lived in the house as if nothing happened.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of fishy shit with their story with the Amityville horror. Well, I can't stand it when horror movies are like, this is based on a real story.
Well, that's where I was gonna say. A lot of times when it says that, I don't think it actually was based on a true. Maybe in this instance it was, but like
In a sense,
I don't always believe that it was actually based on a true story.
Yeah.
I sometimes believe that that's there. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's there. It's part of the story. It was based on a true event. Like
it's not helped that like some horror movies, like there's an alien one called The Fourth Kind, which actively pretended it was real, or the Paranormal Activity movies is another great example of they pretended those movies were real. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to discern that from like
actual ghost stories.
Yeah, where it's like, not, I hate to say use the word real story, but you get my point.
No, that's why I say like actual ghost stories.
Yeah,
stories that a person, an actual person, has told that they think has happened to them.
Yeah, and my thing with like movies like this one, where it's based on a true story and then it's based in religion, where you've got religious figure like, oh, a big part of this movie is they have to go to the church to get permission, and I did kind of like that. Where they're initially like, there's always a rational explanation first, and I think that flies in the face of what they were actually like. But I do appreciate that they walk in with the one family and he's like, yeah, it's just squeaky pipes, it's nothing, don't worry about it. But if it is a thing that they're like, oh, we have to get special permission from the church, and my thing is like, if this shit were real, it would be in the news. Like that's the thing. Is like and so we had this discussion earlier this week where I'm like, when it comes to, for lack of a better word, sorry, religious people. I think we've made it clear on this podcast in the past, we're not religious people. But we're not going to get mean and offensive about it. But so when movies try to pretend that this stuff is real, there's a segment of the population who believes it to be real. But if it were real, it would make the news. Like if what happened to this family actually happened, they catch it on film. Like they get pictures of it. So that's why I say, if you want to say this is a true story, it can't be. It can't be, because we'd all believe in ghosts then, or demons.
Exactly.
Also, this movie says she's a demon. She's not a demon because they make to me, I just think a demon is a ghost with extra steps. But by their own definitions in the movie,
I would argue that a demon is a poltergeist.
I mean, yeah, but you can have poltergeists who are human. By the definition of Ed Warren in this movie, he says a demon is a thing that's not human, right? And the ghost in this movie was a human. She was
technically a poltergeist. In some stories, a poltergeist is just a human that's been around too long.
It depends on the story with poltergeist. Sometimes it's an amalgamation of several angry spirits that become one super spirit. That's why I don't like using the term poltergeist, because it could be anything. But yeah, in this case though, she's the ghost of a witch. They call her a demon. She's not a demon. She's a ghost of a witch. She is very specifically a ghost. That bothered me, even by this movie's own definition. But yeah, this is one of those movies where it was like the most interesting part of it was like the real world stuff surrounding it.
At this point, I'd like to throw a question at you, because we can't do a ghost-filled episode without answering this question.
Is it spooky?
Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, I do, because I've seen one more than once. Oh, I guess it's the point of the story. This is one of the episode where I tell my ghost story?
Yeah. You can't just say that and not tell a ghost story.
Okay. So many, many years ago, I used to work in a movie theater. And there was... I used to work late night, so I'd be alone a lot. And I would clean the bathrooms. And when I was in the bathrooms, I would hear the sounds of splashing water. Like, you know the sound when you walk in water? like the sound when you walk in puddles, that sound. Like in like deep water, I'd hear that sound, that splashing sound when I was cleaning, and there's no way for there to be that sound. And very specifically, it was like boots in water. And
Now,
then
if I were a cynic, I would say, but Justin, could that not just be the overactive imagination of a bored teenager working his late night job, trying to find something to entertain himself?
sure, and you could also say, oh, it might just be the sound the toilet makes. It's not. The toilet's made a different sound. But and then obviously there was also regular ghosts like doors slamming, opening on their own, stuff like that. And when you would go into a certain theater, and you looked in the corner, you would see some people saw him differently. It was a man or boy in a red hat sitting in the back corner. It was in theater too, and I saw him. I walked in, I looked up. I looked. The person sitting with a red hat. I looked away. I looked back. They were gone. I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up for the show. That legit happened. And you find out that there was a boy or family. And to be fair, this is just an urban legend, so I cannot confirm whether or not it's true. But where we lived in Richmond, it was surrounded by ditches. And there's a story of a family whose car crashed into a ditch and the boy drowned. And so that's hence the splashing sounds and the water and the red hat.
It sure makes a great story, doesn't it?
Well, look, all I'm saying is I heard splashing and I saw the person in the red hat. Like I'm not like me, Jordan. I'm a cynic. I don't just make shit up. Like legit. Like I also don't believe in. I'm very much an atheist. So like, but it was spooky. It was really creepy.
That's fair. I'm gonna just flat out say here, I don't necessarily think that ghosts couldn't exist, but I have yet to see anything that makes me believe that they do.
You've never seen one?
No.
Once you see one, it kind of changes your perspective. You're like, oh yeah, it's fun. Well, you see what you think is one. I can't explain what I saw, so.
I've never seen something which made me feel those feelings. Anything weird that, to me, there's always an explanation.
I'm sure.
My answer to that.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments I couldn't explain it.
Any weird thing that I've ever thought I saw, there's some rationalization that I could kind of come up with.
I'll put it this way. Coupled with the splashing, I used to hear this like rattling. And it sounded like someone was rattling the stall door, like the lock in the stall door, and I couldn't. I'm like, what is that? And I thought that was a ghost. And then I found out that rattling sound is the sound that they had an automatic scent dispenser, and it was the sound that it made when it refilled. I was like, okay, that's perfectly but I couldn't find an expression for that splashing sound. I never did. I asked about it too. I was like, what is that sound? And people were like, what sound? So it's like, yeah.
I mean, here's what I'll say. Human beings, like our brains and stuff, we're just energy. So to find out that when we die, the energy leaves the body and becomes something else. Sure. It could be.
But yeah, but like also like, yeah, I again, always have a healthy set of skepticism. But anyway, that's The Conjuring. So we didn't talk much about the movie because the movie's not. It's okay. It's not the scariest movie I've ever seen. It's all right. I remember it's when you're watching it in theaters and like it's loud and it's jump scaring you. Yeah, jump scares always work. Like I'm not gonna pretend they don't.
It's forgettable. Is what I would say.
I think that's it for the stuff we both saw. So you may move on to your next thing, sir.
Okay. So, next one that I watched was Oculus, which it's that one where it's Karen Gillian and her and her brother go back and there's a mirror and it's haunted and I could never really tell if the mirror was like a ghost, like if it was a ghost lady, if it was a lady that was haunting it, or if it was like the devil is haunting the mirror, because there's a point where Karen Gillian is looking at the mirror and she sees like multiple people, and then like when the brother is getting arrested at the end, he sees his dad, his mother, and his sister all standing there with the mirror eyes staring at him. So it's like I was never really able to suss out what the spirit in the mirror was.
That's my thing with a lot of ghost movies overall. I kind of discovered was it was like there's really is a fine line of like explain too much and it stops being scary. No, don't explain enough and it's frustrating and irritating. And that's kind of what I recall this one. I this is one of those ones I know I've seen it. I know I've seen it. I watched it specifically because Karen Gillan was in it. I remember it. I remember nothing about it. Okay, I guess is it spooky? We need a through line question for this episode. Is it spooky?
It's creepy. It's unsettling. So yes, right. I guess.
All right. This is one of those ones. She's doing an American accent, right? I believe in this one. She's doing an American accent.
I think so.
Yeah.
But also, I don't remember.
Is this one of those ones where like it's unclear as to what's real or not and it becomes confusing?
Yeah, a little bit, because that's kind of the point, is the memory. So basically, I'll do a cold notes version. Dad in the past buys mirror. Mirror slowly possesses mom and dad. Mom and dad end up dead, and brother and sister end up separated. Years later, Karen Gillan is Karen Gillan, and she works at an auction house and gets a hold of this mirror, brings it back, and we're seeing these two things happen concurrently. It's switching between the past and present. And in the present, brother and sister are basically going up against the mirror, and she's trying to empirically prove that it was the mirror that caused their mom and dad to die, and not her dad who went crazy.
So okay, I need to tell you something funny.
She has timers and stuff set up so that they like basically can try and keep track of reality. And spoiler alert, they don't, and she ends up dead.
Okay, so I've just now come to a couple questions I have. Number one, when we went through the list, your list as originally written, was it in this order, or did I pull Conjuring out of the order?
You pulled Conjuring out of my order.
Oh, okay. So it's just a weird, funny coincidence. So
you pulled Conjuring and Haunted Mansion out of my order.
So it's funny that you went for Oculus next, because my next one is Mirrors.
That's funny.
So I'm gonna ask you a couple.
Very funny.
I'm gonna ask a couple questions now that I've realized I now have. Do they ever explain what the thing in the? So you said they don't explain what the thing in the mirror is at all.
I don't. Not really, kind of. Like they
not
say,
like it's just a demon? Because that's usually what these movies go to when they can't think of what the thing is. Like, it's a demon!
Unless they did and I missed it. All they really say is, so in the past...
the mirror is just cursed and evil.
That's kind of what it seems to be, but they say that a woman is seducing their dad, basically, which is the mirror.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if that's what's in the mirror, and every other form that she takes is just her haunting them, or if that's just a form that the mirror took to kind of entice the dad. Like, I don't really.
I mean, you don't get to me. It's just being an evil mirror, while being probably a decidedly more boring explanation. Might be also like, oh, it's just like a demon is so lazy.
There's points where they try to like destroy the mirror, and the mirror actively defends itself, which implies that it's like it's the mirror which is alive.
Yeah,
that's
you'll get why I ask you that question.
And the fact that like anytime it takes a form, the eyes are the thing that's always the same.
Interesting.
So it seems to be like it doesn't matter what form it takes. It's the eyes are again, maybe they explain it in there and I just missed it, but
that's always possible. Sometimes you miss shit on the Spook of the E of the Moment podcast.
Spook parenthesis E of the Moment podcast.
True.
But overall I enjoy it.
All right. Mirrors. I already said I was doing Mirrors. Yeah, I did Mirrors. Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland. He is a cop who has been kicked off the force, or he's on retirement because he, I guess, shot an undercover cop by accident. It wasn't really clear, but it's It's basically spooky night at the museum. He gets a nighttime guard job. It always involves a nighttime guard job for some reason. At this, what's the word I'm looking for? Macy's, like department store. This big department store that's been burned down, and they're not the company that owns it isn't really doing anything with it, and spooky shit be happening with at this store, and it's coming from the mirrors. And there's this thing, it's killing people in the mirrors, and it kills you, like it does stuff to you in the mirror, and then it happens to you in real life. So like it opens with the previous guard being like, "I'm so sorry" or whatever, and then it makes him like slit his throat, I think. And then at one point, his sister, who like is the victim, the biggest victim in this movie because she didn't deserve it, like rips her like jaw open and like rips her face off, and it's awful and horrifying. And you eventually find out that and this thing in the mirror, it could take the form of like different people or whatever, and but it appears to be looking for something. It turns out that it's looking for this one girl, and that this department store used to be an insane asylum. And
of course it did.
And yeah, and this thing is a demon, and they explain pretty much exactly what it is. And when the moment it becomes just a demon, it becomes so boring, because demons' motivations are often just, it just wants general chaos and harm. When you're like, what does it want? It's just not a very. It
just wants to be evil.
It's just generically evil. Yeah, it just wants to harm people. And there's there's big twist at the end. They think they've beaten it. They think they've destroyed the mirrors or whatever, because the mirrors are the conduit. Or they like it turns out, and at the end, Kiefer Sutherland is dead at the end. That's well at the end. But it's creepy. I remember it's one of the first like big R-rated scary horror movies we watched in theaters, and it jump scared us pretty good. We were looking over our shoulders going home for like the next few days, like looking at mirrors.
I remember taking the bus home after that one, and like the mirror, that like the reflection of myself on the bus window, like keeping my eye on it, because I was creeped out.
Yeah, it's funny with a lot of these horror movies I watched this week, where I'm like, he seems too famous to be in this movie with Kiefer Sutherland. It's like there's a few of these later horror movies where I'm like, he seems too famous. Like, why is he doing this? It's very odd. But yeah, it's creepy. It's suitably creepy.
Are somehow lesser.
Yeah, usually when it comes to horror movies, those are usually like you get your B-listers and your C-listers for horror, or unknowns. It's always unknowns. That's why your slash flicks, you never know anyone. There's no big name, or the big name actors in slash flicks are always like before they're famous, like Kevin Bacon in the first Friday the 13th movie.
Now, why would that be? What's so bad about being in a horror movie?
Because they're seen as lesser, I guess. I don't know. Less artistic? I could not tell you.
Interesting.
Could not tell you. But yeah, it's creepy.
Well,
I guess suitably creepy.
I guess I gotta go be in a horror movie then. I'll get my big break.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of guys. But yeah, it's spooky. It's very spooky.
Spooky. Now, is it spooky or is it jump scary?
It's a little jump scary. It's not as unsettling as the scariest movie in my opinion I've ever seen is on this list. The one that legit scares me every time I watch it. Like I had to watch it with my phone out because it legit gives me panic. Like we're gonna talk about it later. But this doesn't really. I remember the first time we watched it being so scared, and every time I've watched it since, I'm like, nah, it's just not as effective as it was the first time I saw it.
To be fair, there is something inherently different about watching a movie in the theater versus watching it at home.
You're not wrong.
The loud, like the size of the screen, the loudness of the speakers. It's not the same.
There's a lot of times where it's like I have way more fun where it's just because it's me and you, and we're really, really stoned, and we're just laughing at a movie, and like, you know what I mean, like. Where we're just giggling to each other, and we're having it like Five Nights at Freddy's is like that for me. We'll get there, but that movie's like that for me, where it was like I had more fun watching that movie with you than I probably would at home. I would have at home alone. I would have noticed way more of its flaws.
But that's just the fact that like there's points when we watched it in the movie where I remember you leaning into me and being like, "Explain now."
We'll get there. That's it though. That's it for mirrors. That's it. That's all I got for mirrors.
All right. My next one is one that I guarantee a fair amount of people have not heard of because I had not. It's called Grave Encounters.
Never heard of it.
So it's a found footage, a Canadian found footage film, which spawned a sequel. So
Did it actually?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then I was reading about it. There was apparently supposed to be a third one, but the second one didn't do good enough.
Interesting.
Um,
To be fair, we get a tax credit when we make shit in Canada, so like it doesn't take much to get a thing produced in Canada.
But basically, it opens up and the framing device is it's this like network television person who is like, so this is not a movie. This is a this is essentially the Ghost Encounters was going to be a show that we were going to put on the air, and they had filmed like 6 episodes or whatever, and this was supposed to be the 6th episode. But for reasons which will become evident, it never got put on the air, and we've cobbled together basically all the footage that they took. And then it cuts, and you have the crew of the Grave Encounters show who are at this insane asylum. And they're doing like all the footage and the stuff, and like you have moments where like for example, they're out talking to this new groundskeeper, and they're like, so is there any like ghost stuff that you can tell us about this place? He's like, and the guy's like, no, I got hired like 3 days ago, and they're like, here's $20. And then he's like, I've been here for 12 years and there was a ghost thing. It happened right over there.
So wait, it's a case of they showed up expecting there to not be a ghost thing, that they're faking it. It turns out there's a ghost thing.
They've gone like all the other places they've gone to before haven't had any actual real ghost activities, and so they came here hoping there was going to be some, but expecting that there wouldn't be, basically.
Okay.
And sure enough, they end up having ghost activity, and all of them except for one die. And he, at the end of the movie, is lobotomized.
All right, then. That took a turn I wasn't expecting. We don't explain any details because you have to go find that out for yourself. We just tell you exactly what happens at the end. We don't give any context.
And so then, apparently, I was reading this. The second one is essentially this group of fans or group of people, I don't remember exactly what, heard about what happened to Ghost, like the cast of Ghost Encounters, and they come back to the same asylum to find out if what happened was true. I think they watch, like, it's like they're fans of the movie or they watched the movie or something.
Oh, it's
and they come back. Yeah, something to that effect. Anyway, I didn't watch that one, but yeah, I mean, this one it's fine. It's a lot of what you expect, where it's like, yeah, they're trying to escape from this asylum, and essentially
it's scary.
Well, essentially the idea is that they were going to be locked in there. The host asked the caretaker to lock them in there until 6 a.m. It hits 6 a.m. They go to the main door, and like it's still dark outside, and they go through the main door, and they just like, instead of coming out the exit, they go into like another part of the facility. And so it's like then they're trapped inside, they're trying to escape, and yeah, they're getting spoopy, haunted by ghost stuff.
All right.
And what they see isn't really important because it's a horror movie, and without me even needing to say it, you can kind of just fill in the blanks.
Yeah, the camera shakes a bunch because it's a found footage movie. You know.
You know, they see a couple ghosts, which are just people because it's, you know, a movie.
Yep.
And yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's forgettable. It's one that it's like, I had to, before the show, re-look it up on Wikipedia because I saw Grave Encounters on my list and I was like, oh fuck, what was that one? And yeah, I looked it up and that's where I was like, oh, yeah, okay, now I remember. But yeah.
So a lot of the movies I watched this week were all made by like the same people. So James Wan, Lee Winnell, the Saw boys, the guys who made Saw. And so this next movie is the second movie they made after they made Saw. It's called Dead Silence. And it's directed by the guy who directed Saw, and it's written by Lee Winnell, who wrote Saw, created Saw, and he plays Adam in Saw.
Interesting.
And this is basically this guy receives a creepy ventriloquist dummy, which his girlfriend winds up mysteriously dead somehow. And he goes back home where he runs into his like estranged dad and his new stepmom, and he's basically like arranging his girlfriend's funeral while also investigating this mystery about this, because the town he's from basically has this sordid past involving this ventriloquist, this old woman named Mary Shaw, who was a ventriloquist who believed her dummies were her children. So she believes her one dummy is Billy, her son. And at the backstory is that at one of her shows, this kid is basically like, I can see your lips moving. Which, as an aside, even if you can see her lips moving, the character she's doing, the voice she's doing for Billy, just kind of sounds like a little boy. So you're like, even if you can see her lips moving, it's a pretty good performance. Like, you can't really see her lips moving, but even if you could, it's a pretty darn good character. That's all I'm saying.
So here's the real question, though. She thinks the dummy is her son, but does she think her son is a dummy?
She doesn't have a son. And so...
No, you fucked up the joke.
I know.
You disappoint me, Justin.
So this kid who heckles her basically disappears, and then she dies, and it turns out that she is haunting this town because it's the Saw boys. There's a big twist towards the end where it turns out that the main character's family killed. Basically, the boy that was heckling her was their like great grandpa, whatever, great uncle was the main character's great uncle. She killed him, and they killed her in response. And so now she has haunted every single one in his family line, and that's why she killed the girlfriend, was because she was pregnant with his baby, or wife, I should say.
So that's so important distinction. That's not a haunting at that point. That's a curse.
Right, but she is a ghost. She's very specifically a ghost.
Right. She's a ghost who has cursed their bloodline.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And so and the whole bit is if you see her true form, because she'll puppet people and steal their voices basically. She steals your tongue and steals your voice. If you scream when she catches you, if you scream, she steals your voice. And so
interesting.
He eventually finds her like evil lair where he sees that she's been trying to figure out like how to create the perfect doll, and he finds all of the dolls, and like his great granduncle is there. And it turns out, because up until that point you're not sure as to whether or not she actually did it, you find out that no, she did kidnap him, and she was crazy and she turned him into a doll, and that his stepmom is basically a super perfect doll that the ghost of Mary Shaw has been puppeteering this whole time, and that his dad is dead, and she's been puppeting him like a ventriloquist dummy. She's turned him into a ventriloquist dummy.
That sounds oddly convoluted.
It is, but it's one of those things where initially it's creepy when it's kind of mysterious, but it's one of those movies that it over explains it. Once it starts, and at a certain point, like the character of Mary Shaw just starts monologuing as a ghost, and you're like, oh, this is not really working.
No.
No, she's not. She's sort of monologuing. She's like, I created the perfect, and she's doing like, and then
I want to play a game.
Yeah,
but it's more. Hand, if you do this one thing, then I will haunt you forever.
It's sounding more like it's sounding more like Jigsaw when I do it, but no, it's like spooky ghost. Like, it wasn't the last in your family line, and yeah. It over explains it. Like, it's not a bad movie, and quite honestly, the twist is pretty good. I've ruined it and I've spoiled it, but when you watch it within the context of the movie, it's honestly not bad. But also, like, it really relies on you finding ventriloquist dummies creepy. If you don't find ventriloquist dummies creepy, you're not gonna find it scary.
Some people do, others sleep with one in their closet.
I mean,
So
that's fair. I like the big thing with this one was Lee Winnell wasn't happy with it because they brought in like a script doctor and like changed the script. And James Wan, and I thought this was interesting. He said, "Oh, it just kind of became a generic like haunting movie." And I was like, that's kind of funny considering he became the guy who made haunting movies because he made The Conjuring and Insidious. So I'm just like, he became known for haunting movies. So it's just funny. Oh, and haunting movies and Fast and the Furious. But still, like, it's funny that was his thoughts on this. But yeah, it's all right. It's okay. It's not as good. I like Saw better in terms of output, but it's all right. That's it. That's dead silence. I knew you hadn't seen it.
So I have one more rapid fire. And that's Jennifer's Body.
See, I haven't seen that one in so long. I don't. Is she a demon?
Okay.
What is she? Does this count? I feel like this doesn't count.
She's possessed by a demon.
Okay. But isn't she just herself the whole time?
Kind of. So basically, the rock band that wants to sleep with the high school girl. Well, they want to sacrifice her to the devil. But the best friend thinks that they want to sleep with the high school girl. And so the rock band that wants to be rich and famous essentially try to do a ritual where they sacrifice a virgin to the devil. But Jennifer ain't no virgin. Jennifer?
It was called Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer, you're right. She ain't no virgin. No, I was trying to think of the actual actress's name, and it's not coming to my mind.
Megan Fox.
That's it. Thank you. Um, Jennifer ain't no virgin, and so technically the sacrifice works, and they get to go and be like famous and rich and have success. But because she's not a virgin, she then gets cursed by the devil to be a demon, and when she eats human flesh, she looks younger and prettier and looks good. And then when she doesn't eat human flesh for a few days, she starts to look as ugly as Megan Fox could look, which is still hot, but like, weathered and kind of tired.
Fair.
I
don't know. I don't know if this counts. I don't know if this counts. See, it's not feeling like it's counting to me.
It's possessed. She's possessed.
I mean, is she or did she become a demon? I don't know. I don't know.
They say that the soul is possessed by the demon.
All right. I don't know. Pulling flag on play. This doesn't feel like it counts.
I mean, then it's a good thing it's not one of my main picks and it's just a rapid fire.
That's true. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about Jennifer's Body?
I mean, it's fine. It's fun. It's different.
Fair. So, I have two more, but I as far as I'm concerned, is one. Because I have Insidious 1 and 2. Chapters 1 and Chapter 2. And my thing is, these movies play like they're one big, long movie. For those of you who haven't seen Insidious, it is not The Conjuring. I kept confusing these movies for years. But I thought they were like this in the same universe or whatever. Because I'm like, oh, they're both Patrick Wilson. The main girl, they look the same. It's not. It's Rose Byrne and Vera. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but they're different. They're different people, Jordan. The thing with this one is the thing that makes this one different is it's a spooky ghost movie, but there is now what is called the Further, and Patrick Wilson and his son can astral project and travel into this place when they sleep and when they dream.
So what is this place?
It's called the Further.
No, I know, but what?
It's like a purgatory where ghosts are, and they're all doing the thing that they did when they died. So they're all creepy and weird, and some of them are more evil than others. And they call them demons, but they're not. They're really just basically ghosts. And so Dalton, the son, he winds up hitting his head and going to sleep, and he winds up getting trapped there because he's traveling there at when he dreams. And
I remember that I remember a thing about that movie is like when you leave your body, other entities can then enter it.
Yeah, your other entities become attracted to you because
Yeah.
all the entities from the other world want is to come back to life. Like that's all they want. They just want to come back to life. And so when your body is just chill and empty, they're all drawn to it, which makes your house like a spooky haunted household. So the movie kind of starts off where it just seems like it's a regular kind of haunting movie, and then midway where you're like, oh, just random creepy shit's moving, like there's bangs and there's crashes and like there's one scene where they're in bed and there's a knock at their front door and he goes to check it and there's no one there, and then he goes back to bed and their alarm gets like set off and stuff. And yeah, they introduce the ghost hunters essentially. I don't know what they're actually called, but it's Elise, I don't know, and the two other guys, or two sidekicks. And they're paranormal investigators, and she teaches them that about there's this other realm that he goes to when he sleeps, and that he's trapped there, and he's not actually in a coma, because the whole thing is they think he's in a coma, and they keep taking him to all these doctors who can't figure out, like, he's not sick, he has no reason to be unconscious, it's just like he's sleeping, and they can't figure out what the deal is. And she tells them that he's in this other place, and they're surrounded by like evil spirits and whatnot who all want to take over his body. And so, in particular, like. And so they it's revealed that the mother knows, or Patrick Wilson's mother knows this woman Elise, because when he was a kid, when Josh was a kid, he was experiencing something similar, where every time the mom took a picture of him, this creepy bride would appear in the picture, and she wasn't there, and she kept trying to get closer and closer and closer to him. And so she called her in, and in order to make this stop happening, she made Josh forget everything. And so he also can go to this place. And so he ends up going there to try and save the kid. He saves him from this evil demon-looking ghost guy, and he takes him back. And as he's about to take him back, he gets confronted by the evil bride ghost that chased him when he was a kid, that wanted to basically be him. Like, it wasn't that it wanted to like haunt him or harm him, it wanted to be him. And so the first movie ends with him getting possessed by this spirit. Boom, big cliffhanger. Like, whoa, this feels like the story is ending halfway. And so the second movie is essentially he's now possessed by this bride, who it turns out is not a woman, but is in fact just a guy in a dress, who mother hated him, resented him because he was born a boy, and wanted him to be a girl, and made him dress up like a girl, which caused him to feel like resentment towards himself, and he like castrated. Turns out that the mom met him, and because the mom worked at the hospital, and the mom met him when he attempted to castrate himself. He basically would dress up as this bride and murder women because he hated women. And I'm like, oh. Okay. And so then he just spends the entire movie possessing the Patrick Wilson character, which, like, it's a decent performance in that he's playing him completely differently and he's upsetting and scary. But, like, once you know that this ghost is just a guy, and the more you learn about him and the more you learn about his backstory and how he just has this really sad, tragic backstory, the less scary he becomes.
Yeah, because what makes a ghost scary is the fear of the unknown.
Right,
not knowing
exactly.
What it is.
Once you know what it is, it's just a guy in a dress. It's not really that, at least in my opinion, not really that scary. Like, yeah, there's some creepy imagery in those movies, and it's really quite interesting. The addition of the astral projecting is an interesting dynamic to this. Oh, and the other thing is in the second one, it turns out that the further exists at sort of different moments in time. So there's a moment where present Josh, who is now trapped in the further because the thing has taken over his body. It turns out that the knocks and the setting off the alarm, it was Josh from the future trapped in the further. So it's like, well, that just makes that scene in that first movie retroactively not scary, because you know the thing that's knocking and crashing is just Josh.
I mean, Sure, but that's kind of the point.
I know, but it ruins that first movie. Not ruins it, but it makes what's if it's supposed to be scary, if they intend to scare it, kind of undercuts that
I would say
retroactively.
it doesn't ruin, it changes. It changes what it means.
Sure, but it's again when the thing is no longer malevolent, it's not scary. So it's not scary when you just know that. Oh, I know that's Josh now.
Yeah, but
But so it's yeah, it ends with, and this is
a
important.
horror movie to me kind of isn't scary the second time around because you know what's coming.
True. Well, yeah, we'll get there. So the important bit to note is with the ending of this movie, they beat the thing takes over Josh. They beat it and banish it back to the further by discovering its sordid backstory. And at the end of the first one, Josh gets back and you think everything's fine. And she's like, "Oh, are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" And then she takes his picture, and he freaks out because the thing hates having. And he starts to like murder her, and he kills her. So she's dead. So from the second one on, she's dead. This ghost
The
hunting
wife?
character. No, the ghost hunting character.
Eloise or whatever.
Yeah,
right,
Elise.
right.
Yeah, she's now dead. And so the big thing in the second one is like the police are investigating how she died, and they're like, "Oh, even though he strangled her with her bare hands, he doesn't have his fingerprints on her neck for some reason." And so he's slowly dying because a dead soul inhabiting a dead body makes the body like deteriorate.
Alive.
Yeah, alive body makes the body deteriorate. So his body is like slowly deteriorating, and the ghost of his mother is trying to convince him to murder, and he's trying to like resist the urge not to murder. But he's so suspicious. But anyway, so at the end of the second one, they hypnotize the son and Patrick Wilson again, so they forget everything about all of the being able to go into Ghost World stuff. So they no longer remember anything again. That's important to remember.
Interesting.
That's it's Insidious. I quite enjoyed them. I was surprised by how much I liked them. Also, there is some legitimately I still quite. He's got your baby. He's got your baby. Oh, also the Tiny Tim, the tiptoe through the window,
Tiptoe
through the window. That's where I'll be. Just tiptoe through the window with me. Yeah, it's creepy, man. It is legitimately creepy. But yeah, that is. That's Insidious 1 and 2.
So
on to main reports. It's time for main reports. It's main report time. Ooh, it's spooky main reports.
So my first one, because we're just gonna jump right into the deep end here, is Five Nights at Freddy's. I watched Five Nights at Freddy's, which
spooky ghost children.
I've been thinking about it. I mean, it has some spooky in there, but no. When it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's, I would argue that it's not really the point of it. Generally, games and all is not spooky. It's horror.
I'm pretty sure there's some.
No, I would argue they're wrong because it's not. Yes, there's haunted animatronics, but they're not meant to be scary. They're meant to be horrorful. Like they are upsetting. They're not like they're bad. Like they're murdered children. Yes, that's a bad thing, and it's you have a William Afton who is a man who murders children, and that's a bad thing. But scary in the sense that a man murdering children is upsetting, sure, but it's not scary, if that makes sense.
It's not spooky.
Like I argue that it was never meant to be spooky. It's meant to be like, that's horrifying.
I mean,
like that's horrifying. That's a horrifying thing that he's done. And what has happened to those children, the legacy of Five Nights at Freddy's, that's horrifying.
I still stand,
but it's not.
I think it's funny
spooky.
that it's a very bad game that has a weirdly convoluted story. It makes me laugh. I think
it's very convoluted.
Just gonna jump onto it. I haven't seen it since I watched it in theaters, but from what I recall, bad movie.
I mean, yeah. So here's what I'll say.
He'll always come back.
It's fun
I'll always
as a
come
person.
back.
As a person who's like aware of the games and of the references and stuff, it's fun. But no, you're not. It's not. You're not going to bring in like the casual moviegoers with
No.
this.
My thing is like Matthew Lillard shows up at the end and he's wearing a suit that kills him for some reason. Why did he put on the suit that kills him? And I'm sure there is a reason. I don't need a reason. Please don't give me the reason.
To be fair, they articulate what it is. There's a point where Vanessa says in the movie, like if I'm defending this not on the lore of the games, but just on the lore of what the movie itself says. She does say at a point in the movie that they see the one animatronic which is open, and it's the what is clearly supposed to be a reference to Baby, but it's the doll or whatever looking one, and it's got the things that are all open. And she's like, careful with those. They used to design them so that like all the robotic parts of the animatronic could be pulled back, so a human could wear the suit like a suit, like a normal everyday suit.
That makes sense.
So they do articulate that. So the suit that he's wearing is one of those suits. And when the other animatronics turn against him, and it is a reference to the games. But when the other animatronics turn against him, they trigger it basically, and all of the things lock back into place and stab him.
Gotcha.
It's a reference to the games and the books.
I'm just saying, as a person who doesn't know those references, it was very confusing. That movie was very confusing.
And that's where I say I argue that it's a bad movie if it's trying to appeal to the mainstream audience. It's an okay movie if you have a passing understanding of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore.
I don't.
But like here's one thing I'll say. The actual suits, like the animatronic suits that were created to be
those look cool, man.
They look fantastic. Like,
they do.
They look.
They
so
genuinely
good.
do. Jim Henson knocked it out of the park, man. They look very good.
Like and the references in the movie are fun. Like when he goes into the office and they've got there's a poster on the wall of the animatronic which says like "Let's party," which is that was the original game's poster. Like it was advertisement or whatever, like from the original game. And that's a reference to that, or the fact that they got YouTubers in this, like Matt Pat and a few others.
We got Matt Pat in Five Nights at Freddy's before we got GTA 6.
I mean, who could have seen that coming?
Who could have seen that coming?
The question is, will Ness make a return in the Five Nights at Freddy 2 movie? The fact that
I want to see him get killed by a Five Nights at Freddy.
Which the fact that his character in the movie is Ness, which is a reference to the Sans' Ness game theory, is funny to me.
Funny. I have to turn this off. It's giving me a headache. Oh, that's better.
There's a lot. As a person who has a passing interest in Five Nights at Freddy's, and honestly, I only have any interest in it because of Matthew Patrick. It's fun, and I'm interested to see where they take it with a sequel. But that's Five Nights at Freddy's, guys.
I remember I had more fun making fun of that movie and laughing at how bad it was than like I said, I would have enjoyed that movie far less had I watched it at home than I did watching it in theaters. If anyone ever argues for why they make the case for why movie theaters should still exist, that's why. Because they're just way more fun.
Definitely, like I said earlier, I definitely remember moments where like something insane would happen on screen and you would lean into me and be like, explain now. And I would try my best to in the moment.
Oh, so this franchise is convoluted and is insane. It makes no sense, right?
Yeah, basically. So this guy is a thing that happened here because this happened and this happened to them. Oh, so this is just arbitrary. It makes no sense. Yeah, no. The creator himself has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah. Have an idea of what you're doing.
Making it up as they go along, and they've retconned it like at least from what I know, officially at least once.
All right.
But that's Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five
That's where,
Five Nights at
that's where
Freddy's. That's where I want to be.
I seem to remember saying to you, when we went to this movie, Five Nights at Freddy's, the game, the books, the movies, they have no idea what they're doing. So
you said it was really bad. You said it's just generally not very good, which was one of the funniest things you said, and then the internet got so mad at that. It was so funny.
I mean, have you not listened to the book?
Shut up! You're bad.
Books, if you've read the books, which this is a contentious thing, where
franchise for 8-year-olds, man.
A lot of the internet doesn't think that what's in the book should be, considered towards what's in the game, and there's a lot of strife and malcontent in the FNAF fan base.
Of course there is. Internet can't agree on anything.
Anything I say will probably piss someone off.
Obviously. That it, Jordan? That it?
That's it.
That's it. Ooh, I don't know. What should I do first? Jordan, would you rather hear about a schmaltzy, emotional movie about ghosts or another scary movie?
Schmaltzy.
Schmaltzy. So, my first half scene is a movie called Heart and Souls. Stars Robert Downey Jr. as a man who, when he's a baby, he becomes attached to him. Becomes, how to put this? There are 4 people who die and become attached to his soul, essentially. And so there's four people who the first, I'd say, 20-ish minutes of the movie is spent establishing who they are. And I don't remember their names. But you have one lady, she's a black lady, and she is a mother of like 2 daughters and a little boy. You've got a thief. You've got a gentleman who he wants to be a singer, but he has really bad stage fright. And then lastly, you have a woman who cannot commit to her boyfriend who wants to marry her. And it does that thing of like the characters, they all say, "I'll see you later," or I'll do blank for the rest of my life. And they all die. So that doesn't mean much. But they all die in a bus crash because the bus driver is trying to sneak a peek at some guy's girlfriend's leg as he's driving. He gets distracted and crashes his bus, and they all die. And the bus driver goes to heaven. And instead of them all going to heaven...
Wait. Whoa. The bus driver does that, gets them all killed, and goes to heaven?
He goes to heaven, yeah.
Wow. Wow, the rules of heaven have laxed a lot.
I know. He goes to heaven. And the 4 people, they get, again, their spirits become attached to this young boy. And initially, they spend time with him, and the baby sees them, and they all become his family. As they kind of look after him, give him advice, like go on adventures. One point they get him to there's one scene where like they're trying to read a dirty magazine, the 2 guys, and he's wearing like a blindfold so he can just turn the page so he's not looking at it. And so he's talking to these ghost people, and so his parents are starting to think that he's going a little crazy.
Right.
And so they decide that for his own good, so everybody doesn't think he's nuts, they'll disappear basically. So he'll stop seeing them, but they'll still be around. And so then he gets older, and they get stuck around him for the next 8, 15, whatever, how many years. And he ages into Robert Downey Jr. And honestly, he's quite good. He's quite good in this movie. But he's like a banking guy whose job it is to foreclose on businesses. And the bus driver comes back, and it turns out that paperwork
from heaven.
He comes back from heaven, yeah. And it turns out that basically administration in heaven is just slow, and it took him forever to get back. And he's come back to take him to heaven now, so that I guess their souls can be recycled into new people, I guess. Or to make room for other people. I'm not really sure. He's just like, oh, there's a new soul's being born. You have to come with me. And it turns out that they were supposed to use their person to solve their unfinished business before they have to leave. So including possessing him. And so they now have to essentially get him to see them again. So I should say the bus driver lets them know that, I will give you as much time as I can before I come back and I have to get you. So you can all each individually resolve your unfinished business. And so they make Robert Downey Jr. see him again, and he's really pissed off at them because he's like, you kind of fucked me up. Like, I had to go through therapy for years to like convince myself that you weren't real, basically. You just kind of traumatized me and left me. And they were like, yeah, we're so sorry about that or whatever. We didn't mean to do that, but we didn't know what else to do, man. Like, there isn't really exactly like a handbook for this. And so he sets about helping each of them solve their unresolved business. So the first one is the thief, who he, in a bit of desperation, stole stamps from this kid on behalf of this gangster. And the day that he died, he felt guilty and he was trying to steal them back. And he couldn't get them back, and he told the kid, like, that's too tough. Whatever. And so his unfinished business is essentially stealing these stamps back from this gangster who is now an old man. And he possesses Robert Downey Jr., who does a really good job approximating each of these people whenever he's possessed by them. Like, really well. It's really quite, for a guy who kind of just became like, he's more than just Tony Stark. Like, this is pre-Tony Stark. He actually gets to be character in this. It's kind of interesting. He's not just, Robert Downey Jr. And so he eventually gets the stamps back. It's a whole hijinks, whatever. And the bus driver comes back and is like, you're coming with me 3 down. And then, he goes through and he helps each of them. It's kind of an emotional time every time one of them leaves, because
when you say the bus driver shows up again, do you mean like in the bus?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to explain that. Yeah. So it turns out that he has been assigned picking up people to go to heaven for eternity to essentially make up for the fact that he killed them in the bus. So he's literally he's taking them up again in the bus.
So his punishment for killing people in a bus is to eternally ferry the okay. But so it's an ironic punishment thing. Okay, that makes more sense then.
Yeah, that's how it's framed. Yeah,
I'm like, this man essentially murders all these people and gets to go off to heaven and live in eternal bliss.
No.
While they're stuck being ghosts.
Yeah, he's got a job. That
doesn't seem fair.
He's got a job that he's bitter about. Yeah, he's got a job that he's fairly bitter about.
The scales work out there a little bit better. Okay.
And so Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. He's also in the meantime in love with Meg Ryan. And he's trying to make this relationship with Meg Ryan work, and who he wants to like meet her parents, but he's got this whole thing about keeping people at an arm's length that he doesn't really explain. And so he's going around town trying to help these ghosts, and he runs into her, and he doesn't show up to dinner with her parents. And he's like, I'm so sorry, like, old friends of mine came into town and they're really annoying, and like, I need to help them, basically. And so the guy he's a singer, he ends up they try to sneak him into a BB King concert where he's gonna sing on stage. That's his unfinished business. And so the black lady possesses Robert Downey Jr. to sneak in, and he does this really great approximation of her that's really genuinely very funny. So yeah, he gets on stage as this guy and sings this national anthem very beautifully, and the girlfriend just happens to be there and sees him on stage singing. And it's just like, okay, yeah, that's convenient. And so he gets arrested by this cop and taken to jail. And he's like, okay, what's going on, basically? And Robert Downey Jr. explains it. Like, you're not going to believe this, but... And he's like, he tells them exactly what... I'm being haunted by these 4 people, whatever. And he's like, okay, I'm going to assume you're harmless and just let you go. And all this time, because he's gotten down to... He's done the singing with the guy. So this is after he's done the singing with the guy. As the guy finishes singing, the bus shows up and takes him away on stage, and it's kind of this impacting, moving moment of BB King starts to like sing with him or whatever, and then the cops come out, like, jump him as BB King is singing, and it turns out that the cop that arrests him takes him, and he lets him go, whatever, and he backs into him, and he's been looking for the Black Lady's kids. So he determines that the daughters are in this one city far away, and they can't figure out where the son is. And he backs into him, and he's there with his family. And he's like, "Yo, you just can't seem to stop getting into trouble." And he's like comforting his daughter, and the Black Lady, she sang this particular song to her kids, and he starts singing that song to them. And she's like, "Oh my God, it's you, it's my son." And like she possesses Robert Downey Jr. and he gives him like a big hug. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, "Go check out. This is where your sisters are." Basically, he's like, "I've been trying to find my sisters for years, and they won't give up the adoption records." And he's like, "This is where." He's like, "There's this old lady that used to take care of them when they were kids, and it turns out she still lives in the neighborhood that they grew up in." And he's like, "Oh yeah, your sisters live in this area." It's like, "Go find them," basically. And it's like, wow, that sure is a coincidence that the cop that happened to arrest you turned out to be her son.
It's the grand Justin. It's the grand cosmic scale.
It's one of those
his
like
plan, Justin. It's his plan,
yeah,
not yours.
It's just one of those movies where it's like wow, that's convenient. So then so then it's left down to one woman.
Sure, but I would argue in a movie where there's ghosts and a man who's bussing people up to heaven,
ferrying. You keep wanting to say ferrying the dead via bus.
you know where that's a thing. To have it be where it was all part of the plan that you would happen to run into him doesn't seem that far.
I suppose. And so then yeah, there's one left, and it's the woman who she didn't go with the boyfriend when she had the chance. So they track him down to his farm. The whole thing is he bought a farm and he wanted her to go with him. So he bought a farm, they track him down. It turns out that he died of a broken heart like a few years ago. And she now can't resolve her issues, and she realizes that her final issue is to help Robert Downey Jr. resolve his issues in his relationship and make sure that he doesn't screw up his relationship. And that's her final. And her whole thing, the whole movie, she's like, "Oh, I wish I could hug you." And she at the end finally gets to hug him, and they have like a tearful goodbye. And it's really schmaltzy, and it's really sappy, and it's really sweet.
That's cute.
It's a really cute movie, and it's really good. If you like a really sappy, like I'm getting kind of misty kind of movies, it's really quite good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Must have been a nice palate cleanser after all.
After all the awful spookiness. Yeah, there's a couple of my one of my haven't seen was like that too, where I was like, "Oh, I was pleasantly surprised." The first time I watched it, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a movie that I don't even know why." It's just one of those ones I put on. I don't even know why. I think I put it on because it had Robert Downey Jr. in it, but I don't know what made me watch it. But I loved it the first time I watched it, and it was really cute the second time. And yeah, it was like, yeah, not all the ghost stuff. I'm trying to find ghost stuff that isn't all like R-rated, that isn't Ghost Dad.
Yeah.
Can't do Ghost Dad. Hey, you got that joke?
No, I just meant trying not to find all ones.
Ghost Dad is Bill Cosby.
Oh, okay.
You now get the joke.
I understand.
Yeah, you understand. Bill Cosby. He did those inappropriate things.
So anyway, is that all you have to say about that schmaltzy movie?
It is. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay, so I guess I'll move on to my next have seen. So, funny, for the longest time, I used to make the joke that this was just not Ghostbusters, that this was just Men in Black, but with ghosts.
It really is. I believe it's.
But no, I now in the age of 2024, I can now make a new joke of what this movie is. This movie is just the TVA with ghosts.
It's funny you say Men in Black, but it's R.I.P.D. everyone. It's R.I.P.D. We jumped the gun. We jumped the gun.
The rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Division.
Rest in peace, Department.
No, it's funny. It's funny.
But no, the reason why I say that in 2024, I can now say that it's the TVA with ghosts is because Deadpool has worked with the TVA, and
True.
this is Ryan Reynolds.
To be fair, though, the Men in Black comparison, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it is based on a comic book, and that comic book is written by the same guy who wrote the Men in Black comic book.
It is based on a 1999 comic book. Is Peter M. Linkov the guy who made Men in Black?
I mean, click his name, find out. Come on, you're on Wikipedia. Go that extra step, go that extra mile for the fact check.
He's a Canadian television and film writer, producer, and comic book author.
I believe he did. Pretty sure he did.
Writer. Would writers include comic books? No, it doesn't show the comic books there. TV. Writer, animated
Now
comics.
I'm gonna
Here we
Google
go. For Profit of the Unexplained. And R.I.P.D. So no, he is not.
Who made the Men in Black comic? Oh. Well, Lowell Cunningham made Men in Black.
But there's definitely similarities that could be
very similar to Men in Black.
But I mean, young new partner gets brought in by grizzled older detective partner. Oh, I'm dying, partner. Yeah, this one's fun.
I enjoy the bit that he's an old Asian man and that Jeff Bridges is a hot chick. That was funny. For the listening audience, Jordan is currently dying. Hacking up.
Sorry, I muted my mic. I'm hacking up along. I mean, it's pretty paint by numbers. Partner has bad partner who kills partner. Good partner ends up with new partner. New partner and young cop go and take out bad partner who is also dead.
They fight evil ghosts that are ugly looking so that they can be CGI.
Deados. They're referred to as deados. Because when a dead spirit remains on Earth too long, it looks dead. And they don't like Indian food, and certain questions. And there's a whole.
For sure there's a sequel.
They have cue cards. Yeah, there is a sequel. I didn't watch that.
I hear it's bad.
I don't know. I have not seen it. This one's fun. I mean, if you like Ryan Reynolds and Jeff Bridges, it's fun.
They're a fun pairing. I recall being like, I didn't think this one was that bad. I mean, for what it is, it's pretty by the numbers, like action summer blockbuster movie. Like, take it for what it is. It's not doing anything.
It's not doing anything new or exciting necessarily, but it's fun.
I certainly don't think it's the worst Ryan Reynolds movie. I don't know what the worst Ryan Reynolds movie is now. To be honest with you.
Worst Ryan Reynolds movie. I'd have to look and see his filmography.
Fair enough.
I would say if it depends on what you consider as bad. Like, is something that's dated bad? Because if something that's dated is bad, then it's probably Adventureland, where he sleeps with the underage girls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but the point of that movie is he sucks, to be fair.
Yeah. That's why I say it depends on what you define as bad. I'm trying to find his filmography. He has a very, very big Wikipedia article.
Jordan, while you look that up, is there anything further you have to say about R.I.P.D. Emergency?
It's fun. It's
I recall liking it. That's the one thing I recall about it the most.
I enjoy it.
I enjoy the pairing of Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds. I thought it was fun. It was a fun pairing. Ryan Reynolds, Jeff Bridges is always fun.
Ryan Reynolds, been in a lot of movies.
I've never.
Did you know he was in Blade Trinity?
I didn't know that. That's why Blade's in Deadpool and Wolverine.
That makes sense. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff that I didn't watch, so I can't really say what his worst movie is.
Fair enough. Jordan, are we wrapping up? Are we wrapping up RIPD?
Yep.
All right. So my second.
It's harmless.
So my second have seen is what I feel is, I don't know, man. I still think it's creepy, and that's Sinister. Jordan, do you remember Sinister?
Not by name. Is it? Is there something sinister in it?
Yes, there is. Bagul. It's very sinister. It is about Ethan Hawke, and he is a mystery crime writer, and he has recently moved to a new house where he finds a set of Super 8 films with like seemingly harmless names in his attic, and he starts to watch them, and it turns out that those films are in fact snuff films of families being murdered in brutal ways. I'm actually going to pull open the Wikipedia article.
This sounds vaguely familiar.
And as he's trying to write this book and do research what's happened with these families, mysterious ghost shit starts happening to his family. And he starts seeing weird things. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull open the name of the films. Box of Addicts. Right, okay. So yeah, he finds various footage of various families being killed in various ways with like seemingly harmless names. So the one film is called Pool Party 66. One's called Barbecue 79. Lawn Work 86. Family Hanging Out 11. And yeah, the one is like of the family, they're tied to like chairs and they're like pushed into the pool where they drown. One of them is like they're like tied up on the ground, and the person in the film like runs over them with a lawnmower. And as this stuff very long story short, you find out that they are being haunted by a pagan god entity. So he is technically not a ghost, called Bagul. And how Bagul works is he basically slowly takes over one of the children and it feeds on children, and it effectively slowly possesses the child till it tempts the child into his like netherworld, basically, which is like the world of the film itself. And
this is a ghost?
So you eventually see that he has a group of ghost children who he's slowly feeding on in his dimension, and they're the ones who are doing the haunting. So there are ghosts in it, but Bagul himself is not a ghost.
Okay, it feels like you're playing real fast and loose.
I don't know, like the children are ghosts. They're ghost children. It involves ghost children. And the second one, in fact, one of the ghost children, I think, is one of the main characters. I didn't get time to watch the second one, but it involves the ghost children like way more.
I'm gonna let this one play out.
But it is genuinely
I'm a benevolent co-host.
It is a genuinely unsettling. I remember when we watched it the first time, it scared the shit out of us. It is one of the few times I watched it at home once with the lights off, and I actually had to get up and turn the lights back on because it's so fucking creepy. Like the scenes of him watching the films are upsetting because there's no. Some of them they play a little bit of light music, but for the most part he's watching them in silence, just drinking, and it's like they start off with like the families are happy or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like a hard scare, bang, cut, and they're being murdered, and it is creepy and it is unsettling, and there are jump scares, and obviously jump scares are always to a degree effective, but they're not the creepiest parts of this movie. Just the scenes of him just watching the films are so unsettling and so uneasy. And it's good. It's creepy. Jordan, do you have any questions about Sinister that I know you do?
So, okay. This thing is a pagan god? Pagan demon?
Yeah, eventually Vincent D'Onofrio shows up and he explains the whole deal, yeah.
Pagan god.
Yeah, well, he says just deity, but I suppose, yeah, god, for lack of a better word.
Okay. And it's... Why did that close?
Yes, it would kill entire families and take one of their children to consume their soul slowly.
So is it? You said it is creepy.
It's so creepy.
My YouTube just closed. What the fuck? Why did you do that again? I might not be able to be in the chat this time because it doesn't want to stay open.
That's weird. That's okay. I can do it. Theoretically. Anyway.
So was this on Netflix?
Nah, I ended up having to search it out on my own, which sucked. But yeah, it's creepy. It's got Ethan Hawke. It's another one of those ones where I'm like, he seems too famous to be in this movie.
Would you recommend it?
I would if you like being spooked. If you're looking for something spooky and creepy. I every time I watch it, I'm like, ooh, it's unsettling. It's so unsettling. It's really effective, in my opinion, anyway. I don't know. Maybe you'll disagree. I don't know. Have you seen Sinister? Do you think it's creepy? Let me know in the comments, because it's the scariest movie I've ever seen. It's one of the few times I've literally turned on the light because I was scared. Like it scared the pants off of me. Like I had to have my phone light on because I was so freaked out.
Is that all you have to say about
I think so. Yeah, Bagul himself is creepy looking. He's unsettling. There's a few scenes where you see him and he kind of looks like Slender Man with long hair. He's unsettling looking.
It's funny that you say Slender Man. I almost watched that one.
I almost did too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, is he a ghost? What even is Slender Man? Question for another Halloween, I suppose.
Oh yeah, that was kind of my thing. I was like, could I consider him a ghost who's haunting? Does he? And I just wasn't sure. So
that's it. That's all I got for Sinister. It's pretty good. I enjoyed it. It's hard to find things. It's much easier to find things when you It's so much harder to find things to like. So much easier to find things to dislike about a thing than it is to be like, it's good. It's creepy, spooky,
right?
Spooky. There's moments with ghost kids where like, oh, I mean, I will say there are a few silly moments with the ghost kids. Ghost kids always run the line of being inherently, but it does run that line of like it explains everything, but not in a way that it's like it's over explaining everything. Like with the Insidious movies, it was like once you find out like I said, he's just a guy. It's not again really scary, but when you're like, oh, he's a creature that feeds on children, and he's basically like a big parasitic tick. You're like, okay, he's creepy looking. It becomes scarier because there is still an element of unknown there. It's also fictional. Same thing. It's one thing I liked about the Insidious movies. They're fictional.
Yeah, which means they can do whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to try and you don't have to. You don't have to try and be like, there's a logic to them necessarily because they're fictional. They can do whatever they need to do.
Right, exactly, yeah. I think Bagul does. He is sort of loosely based on a real thing, but he's almost entirely fictional.
So okay, if that's all that you have to say. Then my first haven't seen. Now I couldn't do ghost things without. I had to watch Beetlejuice. Because I've never seen Beetlejuice.
I could have sworn you had seen Beetlejuice.
No, after having watched it this time, if I have, then I have no memory of it.
The thing about Beetlejuice that scares me.
Also, if I had seen this in my childhood growing up, I definitely should not have because
it is upsetting.
It's not a kid's movie.
I remember watching it as a kid because I was freaked out about the bit where they like rip their heads open and they make their heads look all scary. That image is like seared into my brain as being fucking scary.
Yeah, maybe you did, but
I this movie being cool. I don't like Beetlejuice because I watched it as a kid. It scared me, and I just think it's gross. And as an adult, I'm like, it just doesn't do anything for me.
As an adult, I enjoyed it. I had fun with this.
Really? I just couldn't stand it. I did it for Tim Burton, didn't I? I think I did. Pretty sure I did. But yeah, I did not care for it this time.
It is directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, I did not. It's funny that you liked it. I did not like it.
I mean, yeah, it was fun. I don't know. I don't. So okay.
Would you watch the second one then?
Sequel.
I guess. Yeah. Would you watch the second one?
I mostly because I'm curious because I don't know anything about it. I don't know what the second one could be about. I don't know how you do a sequel to this.
Well, at one point there was going to be a sequel called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
I'm not going to address that, but okay.
I'm going to Hawaii, I guess. I don't know.
One thing that I don't want to say I don't like it, but I don't understand is I don't understand why on the title it's spelled Beetlejuice like juice, as in juice, the drink, the thing that you drink.
Yeah.
But that's not how his name is spelled in movies, like in the subtitles and stuff. That's not how his name is spelled.
Geuse?
It's yeah.
I'm pretty sure
B-E, it's B-E, it's B in the movie it's Betelgeuse.
Do you see
Like the celestial object.
Do you see it spelt in the movie?
In the subtitles.
No, okay, subtitles can be wrong though. I wouldn't go by them. Sometimes they're wrong. In the actual movie, how do you see it spelled?
I'm not. I don't think they ever actually.
Hold on, because I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure that you see his business card. Because now that's interesting. Because I'm pretty sure it's juice isn't the juice. But that's
all I know is that All I know is that in the subtitles, it said it the other way, which had me confused. Now you've got me unsure.
Hold on, business card. No, you're right. You're right. In the business card from the movie, it's spelled the other way. It's spelled Beetlejuice the other way. Geuse.
Yeah, and like on the Wikipedia, when you look at the cast list, it has it spelled.
That's interesting.
B-E-T.
But the poster it's juice as in
G-E-U-S-E. And the title itself says Beetlejuice.
That's interesting. Yeah, the poster it's juice as in juice.
Maybe it's supposed to be a reference to the point in the movie where he's trying to get the girl to say his name, and he does like Beetle and then juice, and he does the drinking.
Maybe, yeah,
maybe it's supposed to be a reference to that. I don't know.
That's interesting.
But that was a thing that.
Pretty sure the poster is the posters. Yeah, it's the juice. Yeah, that must be intentional. That has to be intentional.
So that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I know. I just don't like this movie. I didn't like it the last time I watched it.
So what's funny is watching it. I didn't realize that Beetlejuice was Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, that's the mark of a good performance.
It wasn't until I opened up the Wikipedia and saw that I was like, oh, that's neat.
Like Italian.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember we grew up watching the cartoon. That's more my love of this franchise comes from the cartoon.
I don't really have any memory of that. I'm aware that it exists, but I don't really remember watching it.
It's like this, but more family friendly. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I could say about this, I guess it would be it could be family friendly.
Yeah.
Like it's not like so like you know how RoboCop suffers from that identity crisis of it starts off being very violent, and then the studios and stuff wanted to market it to kids, and they kind of pushed it towards that, and now it's got this legacy of a confused identity of it doesn't know what it wants to be. I would say because of said cartoon, so does this.
Yeah.
But unlike RoboCop, this could have been PG-13 and it would have worked.
I think this is PG-13.
I don't actually know.
I'm pretty sure it's PG-13.
I just know that Beetlejuice is horny and inappropriate
towards a minor.
And so I more mean they could have tamed him down.
True.
And it would have worked.
True.
Or at least I think it would have worked. Jordan, maybe that's a hot.
Dare we say Beetlejuice 3 times? Beetlejuice. But Beetlejuice.
It was very much a success. It had a budget of $15 million, and it had a box office of $84.6 million.
Yeah, they've been trying to make a sequel to it for years, and it finally came out, and people like it. Apparently,
I'm interested in.
I will watch it on streaming like God intended.
Yeah, same.
God intended.
I'm just looking to see if there's any interesting trivia that I can say about it, which it doesn't look. I'm stalling. as I skim, and I don't. Oh, well, that's interesting. On March 10th, 1998, Beetlejuice became the first of more than 5.2 billion DVDs shipped by Netflix, which launched as a mail-based rental business.
Well, all right then. How interesting.
So it's one of the first things that Netflix did, and the ironic thing is, I didn't watch it on Netflix.
That's funny.
I watched it on what is essentially our HBO Max.
Crave.
Yep.
Anyway.
So that's Beetlejuice.
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 Dude, you crazy? You don't want that guy around here. So, okay. So my first haven't seen. I went in a completely different direction here, and I chose. For those of you who are internet familiar, might be familiar with a group called Smosh. I opted to watch Smosh's second movie. Yeah, many of you may not know that
they had a second movie.
They had a second movie, and it's called
what?
Ghostmates. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jordan. It was honestly kind of, I don't want to say good, but it wasn't bad. Like
Passable?
Passable. It was an okay movie. I saw someone say 7 out of 10. I'd say 6 if I gave numbered ratings. Like, it's all right. It's better than it has any right to be.
C?
See, a solid C to C+. Yeah. Okay, so basically, how are ghosts involved in this, you may ask? Ian Hecox of Smosh fame plays a gentleman by the name of Eddie who cannot commit to his girlfriend. He sucks. He's kind of a sucky guy.
We've all been there.
He basically sets up this very fancy dinner. He dresses up and he asks her to move in with her eventually. And they get into this big fight and she storms out and his tie gets caught in the door and he chokes to death and dies. And the rest of the movie, Anthony plays a unemployed artist of a comic book who moves into his place because the rent is cheap, and he is the only one who can see Eddie. His name is Charlie, and basically they determine that Eddie needs to resolve his unfinished business, which involves his girlfriend, his dad, and his teacher named.
So, I have questions.
Manlicker.
I have behind the scenes questions.
Yes.
Did they write this?
No.
Were they involved in the writing of this?
I imagine to a degree because it's
because the reason why I ask is as you're describing this very much sounds like a bloated, like a longer version of one of their sketches.
It kind of is,
it feels like it just by description.
It does in terms of and I. So the gentleman who wrote it, I believe, writes their sketches.
That I believe,
and produces for them, or at least used to because this is very much of Smosh at the time's style. But it works in this sense because for a couple of reasons. Number one,
wait, is this pre-breakup or post-breakup?
Like right as they're about to. Yeah, right as they're about to.
Okay.
It's Defy. It's produced by Defy, which should tell you everything you need to know. Yeah, and the performances aren't bad. Like Ian in particular, there's some moments where like of real introspection in the character where you're like, you know what, like the performance is okay. Like, and the supporting actors, his girlfriend Jessica, it's so weird because she's like a normal person in a Smosh sketch, if that makes sense. Like that's how she's playing this character, and like a lot of the dialogue, it's not like, you know how Ian has that like hyper real, like that hyper goofy version of himself that he does for sketches.
Yeah,
it's not that. It's like he's an actual person with an actual arc and an actual problem. Yeah, and there's a couple of my one thing with it, my only real criticism is its pacing is bad. There's a couple of scenes that go on for just forever. There's a really weird joke about the fact that Ian's character doesn't know what penultimate means that keeps coming back. there's a girl who's
10
like
out of 10.
really into Anthony. Her whole bit is that she's really into Anthony for whatever reason. And some of the jokes a lot of the jokes are funny. But yeah, the stuff that's emotional, it's surprisingly effective in that it's not as bad as you're expecting. Like I was surprised by how good it was.
Now here's the question.
No, I mean,
now here's the question. What is it actually that impactful, or is it retroactively more impactful because you know that they're about to break up, go through years of not being together, and then ultimately come back to reform a channel, which is
no, yes and no. Okay, no, that thought never entered my brain. But sort of in the sense that I sort of started to question whether or not I was grading it on a curve, where I was like, am I being kinder to it, more gentle to it, because it's a YouTuber movie and their first movie sucked? Like
yeah.
their first movie is genuinely very bad. So like, am I being more gentle to it because like this is actually effort has put into this, and like the executive produced it. There's an actual really funny bit where Ian's character Eddie he takes Charlie to this like T-Pain poetry slam, and maybe it's because I've been watching like Insidious and Conjuring and Mirrors and all these. But there's a scene early on which probably isn't fun, wouldn't be funny to anybody else, but specifically was to me, where he's trying to convince Anthony's character that he's a ghost because he doesn't believe that he's a ghost. He thinks he's just some weird guy hanging out in his apartment in his underwear. He's like, no, I'm a ghost. You really gotta believe me. And so he does all like the creepy ghost shit where he knocks shit over. There's this guy dropping this thing off for him, and he like knocks shit over, and he like slams the door, and he holds the door closed so the guy can't open it or whatever. And it's like, yeah, man, all that shit happens in scary movies, but it just cuts to Ian just being like, ooh, I'm a ghost. And it's just like, it just made me think of like just this witch character in The Conjuring be like, I'm a scary witch. Ooh. That's just what she's doing. Like, it's effectively what ghosts do in scary movies. It made me laugh probably harder than it should.
The meta.
Also, it's an hour and 24 minutes, so the resolution. So basically, sorry, T-Pain. So yeah, he tricks him into going to this thing by charging it to his credit card and making him go to this thing with T-Pain, where he accidentally kills T-Pain. And like it's legit T-Pain. Yeah, it's actually T-Pain.
Like T-Pain?
Yeah, like T-Pain,
wow.
T-Pain. He accidentally kills him, and T-Pain goes to heaven. And he's like, oh, am I dead? Oh, man, I'm dead. Oh, shit, I'm dead. And he's like, and he sees himself. He's like, you know what? I'm really good looking, though. So, like, I'm not as upset as I think I should be. But I'm dead. And so then he goes to heaven. And he's like, yeah, you have to search your heart. And so he winds up with the three, like his dad, the teacher, and yeah, the scene with the teacher goes on way too long. But the scene with the dad and the stuff with the girlfriend, eventually he decides, like he keeps trying to figure out where his unresolved issue with the girlfriend is, and he tries to set Anthony's character up with the girlfriend, and it's just not working. And eventually he discovers that he's still like in love with her, and he's like literally like written on his heart. And the movie ends with him like going to heaven. And he becomes Anthony's character's like guardian angel. And again, it might be because I'm being overly generous, but I was surprised by how much it wasn't bad.
Okay, I think you might be a little bit. You might be grading on a curve, Justin.
I might be grading on a curve. It's certainly possible I'm grading on a curve. But yeah, that was Ghostmates.
Oh, grading on a curve.
Grading on a curve. What's your last have seen, Jordan, for the week? Haven't seen.
So no, my last haven't seen. So I tried my best to not do scary ones because those are boring. But I did do one, which I saved for the last. I watched The Ring, the 2002,
okay.
the American remake of the Japanese movie.
That one doesn't have. We discovered that's not the one that has Sarah Michelle Gellar in it, right? I'm pretty sure that's The Grudge.
I think you're talking about The Grudge.
Okay, follow-up question. So is this the one where they like where you get the tape and then you watch the tape and then on the tape is like a video of a ring and then the ring girl kills you?
This one is the one where you get a tape, and on the tape is a bunch of different stuff. You get a ladder, you get bugs, you get this lady, and then there's the circle going over the hole, and then 7 days later, after watching the tape, you will die. She shows up and she will kill you. But you find out. So basically, in the movie, this is a remake of a Japanese movie called Ringu, I believe is what it's called.
That makes sense. That's Japanese for ring. Ringu.
And um
It's Japanese for ring. It makes sense.
sorry. And so in the movie, the main woman's her niece or something gets killed by the ring tape. And so her sister asks her to look into it because she's a reporter and all that. And so she starts digging into it, ends up finding the tape and watching it, and then makes a copy of the tape, which she gets her ex-husband to watch to help her figure it out, yada yada yada. Also, she has a creepy son who refers to her by her first name, so he's going to be fine.
Oh, he's fine. He'll be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Um, as soon as the creepy young son referred to the mother by her first name, I was like, oh, he's gonna be fine. Um, and so over the course, by the way, I'm going to spoil the shit out of the ring for anyone who wants to go and experience this naturally. That was your warning. So in the ring, she ends up like looking into the tape. She finds out that um the lady that she sees on the tape is the mother of a daughter, and the daughter, the mother murdered the daughter, killed the daughter because the daughter was hearing voices, was up all the time, and at a certain point, the dad, it's an adoptive daughter, is important to note. Um, and at a certain point, the dad moved the daughter into the stables, and the daughter was keeping the horses awake. And so then, yeah, you end up finding that the mother killed the daughter and dropped her in the well. And so now the spirit of the daughter, which never sleeps, is still haunting. She like manifested the tape from the well, um, and the well is underneath the cabin, which was where the niece found that tape in the first place. And near the end of the movie, the mother and dad find the well, rescue, like, they're all like, "Oh, we hear you, young girl, which is haunting the tape. You've been heard. Your spirit can move on." And they call the cops, and like everything, and the body is found, and the record is set straight. And so mom and dad think that everything is going to be okay, and the movie like appears like it's going to have a happy ending and like it's coming to the end. And mom goes to her son, creepy son, who can hear the spirit and talks to it and stuff. um and he's like, why did you rescue her? Like, why did you save her body or whatever? That wasn't what you were supposed to do. And then the dad dies from the tape, and like, we're all confused, and the mother's all confused because the mother's like, then why did you let me down? And then she realizes that the thing that's different between her and the husband is she made a copy of the tape and then showed the tape to her husband. So that's why she got spared, because that's what the spirit actually wants. She wants her story to be told and people to suffer by. So you survive if you copy the tape and give it to someone else and make them watch it and they die. Essentially, you can transfer the curse onto someone else, which is what she did to her husband, ex-husband. And then that's
Gotcha.
kind of how the movie ends. The movie ends with the mother is getting her son to essentially make a new tape, and then they're gonna go and give it to someone else, and I'm assuming that's where the Ring 2 comes into play.
Interesting.
Which I didn't watch that, but
Is it
this was a
spooky?
popular. It depends. Do you believe in ghosts? No, I don't think it is, but I don't think ghost movies. I don't think ghost movies. Oh my god, I'm dying.
He's coughing. He's hacking along. He'll be back momentarily.
I don't think ghost movies ever are.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I don't inherently. They're as real to me as a movie about a superhero.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, does it have like it has a good mystery? Like, I genuinely, and this doesn't happen very often. I put my phone down at a certain point. I was like,
It
it
passed
didn't
the
pass the
phone
phone test.
test.
It didn't at first because I was playing games on my phone and kind of half paying attention, but it was a good enough mystery and good enough story that it did actually draw me in and get me to put my phone down. And then once I put my phone down, I didn't pick it up for the rest of the movie.
Nice. Good movie. Second movie.
So, you know,
But the point is,
I
Jordan, the movie is about a killer
I will
VHS tape.
say. I did have some confusion, which I had to go and look up some stuff after the movie because I was a bit confused about the girl, the demon, the girl, whatever she is. Uh, so I went and I looked up some stuff, which I'm guessing is probably gone into more depth in the second and third and however many of these there are.
Probably.
Because on it, I found out that the girl that's haunting the tape is she's the daughter of like a water deity or a water god or something, and that's part of why she hears voices
Gotcha.
and why
Why a tape?
she is able to use water and stuff. So I have a feeling
Yeah, give him a moment, folks. He's hacking along.
I think the tape thing might have been more explained in the Japanese version, but in the American version, there's a point where the dad sees that there's a bunch of like burned drawings that she did, the ghost girl, um, and so I think the idea is supposed to essentially be that using the same psychic ghost powers that she did to make those drawings, she like manifested the tape as a like a form of her hate and her anger and her
Gotcha.
ghostly upsettedness.
Gotcha. Jordan, I think we gotta wrap
Maybe
this
it's
up,
a
otherwise it's
thing.
gonna take us 30 years.
Maybe it's a thing that's further explained in further movies. Is all I'll say. I don't
Fair
know,
enough.
but it's a good movie. I see why it's popular, and I wouldn't actually mind watching the sequel.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's another episode for
I'm
another
gonna, I'm
time.
gonna, I'm, I'm gonna turn my mic off now. Allow you to talk and probably cough for the next 30 minutes.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, I yeah, I guess that's it. I've got one more. So my final one is so there is, as of now, six six Insidious movies. So the third one and the fourth one don't involve the Patrick Wilson character and his family. It's just the ghost hunters. It's just Elise. And so the last one, called Insidious Red Door, is, in my opinion, technically the third one. Because it takes place after the second one, and it involves the Dalton family. Dalton family? I don't know where the last names are, but the Patrick Wilson's family. His family.
Is he still haunted at that point?
Well, okay, so that's remember how I mentioned at the end of the second one they wiped their memories? So at the end of at the beginning of this one, it has now been 10 years or 9 years since the events of the last one. And in real life, I looked it up, it's 10 years. So this movie came out in 2023 and the last one came out in 2013. So and it's all the original actors all come back, like all the kids and everything. So the kid is now 19 or 18 or whatever. He's about to go off to college, and the Patrick Wilson and the wife are divorced. They've broken up, and it turns out that by effectively erasing the memories of these events and them repressing the memories of the ghosts and the further and all that stuff, that it effectively caused them to be foggy and like become disconnected from each other. So they all know that something is off, but they don't know what it is and they can't talk about it. And so the movie is sort of them sort of slowly rediscovering this haunted shit. So the further that they could add, and in this one they straight up call it astral projecting. In previous movies, they just were like, you're just a traveler. It's a traveler. They didn't want to say astral projecting. But in this one, they're straight up like, you're astral projecting. And it's the kid kind of discovering his ability to do this while going to college and like making like this. He makes this friend, his female roommate who becomes his friend. And yeah, it's not really about big revelations. It's really more about saying, sort of revisiting these characters who we haven't seen in 10 years. And I think what makes this movie interesting is that it's the original actor. It's the original kid who's come back and he's now an adult. And so because it's been 10 years in real time, I think this movie's more effective. Like, I think if this had been the actual Insidious 3 and it had been like the same story, I don't think it would have worked as well.
No, because you would have had to have a second actor come in and be the adult version of him, and it would have been an It situation where there's a disconnect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's what makes this so interesting. And yet you find out more about his dad and like the Patrick Wilson's character's dad, and that he also could do this. And yeah, they more sort of explain directly what exactly is involved in what they do, and I could see how, like, if you're really, I think for me it was more effective because I watched them as one unit, like as one big long experience. And I think as an sort of an epilogue to the second movie, it was, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Like, I was initially apprehensive about it because I was like, what am I going to do? 3 Insidious movies, they're all going to be the same movie. But I was interested by like how it was so much more effective because Patrick Wilson is definitely older. Like, going from the second one in 2013 to this one, it's like, oh yeah, they're definitely all way older. And storytelling or visual storytelling for horror movies is kind of different now in 2023. And just overall, yeah, I was surprised by how much I liked it. I think that was a big thing with me this week. There's a lot of these where I was surprised by how much I liked it. It was reaffirming ones I liked and being like, oh yeah, this is better than I thought it was going to be.
That's fair.
It's good. I would recommend it. I've seen the third one. I don't remember the third one being very good. I've never seen the fourth one. Oh no, there's only 5. I think I said 6. Yeah, so this is the 5th one. And it shows.
Wasn't there a spin-off which was about the detective lady?
Yeah, that's the 4th and 5th, or 3rd and 4th one. So the 3rd one is a prequel about the detective lady, and the 2nd one is a sequel to that, but also a prequel to the 1st one, because it ends with her getting the call that introduces her into the story at the beginning of the 1st one.
I'm dying, Justin.
And it's weird because this one kind of hints that maybe they might come back, because she kind of shows up at the end, and she's a ghost still, and she's like, "Oh yes, we've been watching you. We'll watch you with great interest, Patrick Wilson." So
So I mean, the interesting thing is that if time is wonky in that universe, that means that they could all be taking place at the same time.
They kind of are, yeah, because there's moments in this one where like they go back to parts of the second movie where they just really watch it from a different angle, and it's kind of interesting. And bad the thing that kidnaps him at the first one comes back. Like if you're a fan of the first two movies and those characters, it's not as scary. Like and my one real criticism is it's really slow. Like the last 20 minutes is when the bulk of the action is happening. It's really kind of more prolonged. But in terms of like an exploration, a character study about why maybe you shouldn't repress things, because the end of the movie obviously ends with them being like, yeah, we shouldn't forget this time, because that ended badly the first time. So in terms of that, in terms of being like, oh, and saying goodbye to these characters, if you like those characters, I think it's effective in that regard, but it's otherwise
It's a good
all right.
send-off.
Yeah, it's a good send-off, exactly. But I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about
Good,
Insidious Red Door. Yeah, I know you're
I'm
dying.
on the way to becoming a ghost.
I know you're dying. So with that, that's the end of week one of
to fit this week's theme. I'm becoming a ghost.
Becoming a ghost. That ends week one of the Spook (E of the Moment) podcast. That was Ghosts. So as previously announced, next week is the gnarly shit. So that's your Saws, your Hostels. Jordan has to watch the first two Terrifier movies because we are going to attempt to watch Terrifier 3 next Saturday. Wish us luck. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully we don't have to drive 30 minutes out of our way to do it. But we're going to be trying to do that for next week. Either way, we're going to watch the first two Terrifier movies. I've asked around to various people in the network to see if they want to come on. They showed some interest. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it. Maybe they will. Who's to say? But that's coming next week. And then obviously, once again, after that is slashers. And then after that is the family-friendly stuff. Spooky of the Moment podcast, everybody. Ooh, Jordan. Ooh. It's his month-long catchphrase. It's funny because every time he does it, the mic cuts out so they can't hear you. Ooh. They heard that one. They heard softly. That's the show, everyone. Jordan, where can they find you?
I do Minecraft Mondays on Zethgore187 on Twitch, and I do the Spur of the Moment podcast every weekend on YouTube.
I am on TikTok. We are on TikTok as a podcast. The Spur of the Moment P, I believe, is what we are. I'm on TikTok solo. I'm Justin Spur. I also do another podcast. It's called The Final Frontier. It's every Sunday at 5 p.m. Western time. Me and our friend Jake, we're talking about Star Trek, the original series. I wear the Spock shirt. It's fun. We tell jokes. It's fun.
They boldly go where no one else has time to go.
Where no one has had the spare time to go before. And that's why we do that. You can email the show if you want to sponsor the show. If you want to be like Trophy Smack and sponsor the show, thanks again to Trophy Smack. You can email me at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. Am I missing any? Discord. You can follow us on Discord. I try to keep the link updated, but it doesn't always stay that way. I think that's it. That's it. Goodbye, everybody. Jordan, say goodbye.